And there you go. I mean, that really sets it up. That's esports.
Yeah, no kidding.
So now we're ready for the first heat of the finals.
Now, this is the finals of the CVR World Cup Paris, which is a series of races. Now, as we've talked about it a little bit before, we saw some preliminary action yesterday, right? And that's what's been going on really for the last day. But now we're into two different kinds of finals. What's the difference between performance and elite?
So yesterday we had 2 heats in the men's and women's, and the top 4 spots from each of those heats, plus the 2 riders with the next fastest time, advanced into the elite. So now we've got 2 heats today, the elite and performance.
And I'll mention that the drama was high yesterday, trying to figure out who those 2 were going to be. I mean, we knew pretty much how the 4 were going to be.
Right, right. And then those last 2 is kind of like which, where they play. So we
Yeah, but they weren't, this is the fun part, they weren't eliminated, right?
No.
So if you got placed into the performance bracket, you're still in the money race here.
You are. The prizes go deep.
Yep.
They go really, really deep. And it's a really interesting thing. I didn't mean to cut you off there. So kind of this has evolved, right? So if you saw CVR and you've been following CVR World Cup, you saw in London 1 race.
Yeah.
And so CVR has really upped the ante here to create this format, not only in the 2 days preliminaries and in the finals, but also sort of the prize pool rollout like that. So it's really kind of exciting how we're pushing, the drama, and that drama was created because those lines between who made the performance and who made the elite were so narrow.
Oh boy, no kidding. But what it has done, it has collected very similar athletes together with similar skills, and we're seeing some exciting races. The first one blows my mind still. I can't believe what I just saw, right?
Right.
So all the raiders, regardless of the race that they raced in, are part of this growing prize pool, and you can check it out. If you're watching and you're cheering on CycleView, which is the Cyclogent ranking site, right? Search it in your Googles, you'll find it, right? You can actually watch each of the riders that you want. You can contribute by cheering to that total prize pool, and you see the slope of that going up. So cool, right? It's wonderful up there on the page there. But you can also pick the riders you want to watch, and you can see the course that they're racing and their actual points per stage. And we'll talk about that crazy point stage thing here in just a second.
That's right. And we're going to be calling the race. And, there has been so much action with this what we're going to see today with 3 stages is there's so much strategy. The action isn't just happening in the front. So yesterday we were like saying who's going to get the top 4 spots, 4 spots, and who's going to be those next 2 fastest times. Today it's a whole different, totally different animal. So we might be talking with the front pack. We might be following the chase pack, but you might be curious. Your favorite rider, the one you just cheered for on CycleView, you want to know what they're doing. You can pop down on the pull down menu and watch the camera.
That's right. You can pick that rider. So if you want to follow Carrie Conabear, she's in this race. You'll want to follow her. She's right there. Liz is also in this. It's so many great riders, as we'll introduce you to here in just a second. Angela Mann in this race, a crowd favorite.
That's
for sure.
right, absolutely, the crit racer.
Very cool.
So, one of the things that today, it is a 3-stage race.
3 stages. Have you heard of this before?
If you've been with us since the beginning of the broadcast, you would have just seen the men's about an hour ago do the 3-stage. And so here's what we're going to see today. Ooh. So really exciting. So the first stage is the mountain climb.
It's the mountain climb, right.
And the mountain climb, it has a pretty flat start, and then the climb is about 4 kilometers. So the whole course is 8.9 kilometers, and it has an average grade of 5% with a max grade of 11%. But what did we see in the men's race that were?
Oh my gosh! Well, so it was really interesting. They did a nice job of jogging together, to stay together through that mountain route, even over the bridge, as you see on your monitor here. You see the run up; it's pretty darn flat, and then it kicks as you come over that bridge. That's that first little riser, and then they throw down. And the finish line is right here at the castle. They climb all the way up to the castle and they cross that. Now the second stage is a really cool one as well. You know this one. This is Hilly Reverse, right?
Very familiar from yesterday, except the reverse direction.
Yep, it's exactly right. Going back in the reverse direction. And as you know this, there isn't one really hard protracted climb that's relatively short. It's actually very, very different. And it also sets up for some of the most amazing fireworks at the finish as it flattens out.
Absolutely, and this one, each of these different stages might favor different riders. You
Yep.
know, so, and
Exactly.
then when we come across the banner, the final stage on this is going to be the volcano. Now,
Yes.
oh, there's a little profile there for the hilly reverse.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's what you're up against. It's not as steep a climb, but it's good over time. We'll talk about the strategy of that.
Now
But
the
your
volcano
point.
coming through. This is the newest part of the Zwift edition.
Yep.
It's kind of we've ridden a lot of it now, but
Right, right.
it's the newest part of the island here, and there's never really gets any steep climbs, but there's a couple little rises where we
little
might see
punches.
some action, and we come through each time we come through the counter. We're going to come through this
Yes.
3 times, relatively flat, but not. You can be surprised and get caught
Yes.
off guard, so you have to be prepared.
This is one of those that I would expect to see someone like Angela Mann really excel in. And the nice thing about these 3 stages is that you open up these opportunities. The profile of raw elevation is really misleading. That's only 14 meters, from top to bottom of that scale right there. So
Right.
it's not all that much. But it is. It's 3 laps of the volcano clockwise, 14.8K as that final piece. And as we saw in the last race, Beth, there was still so much on the line at that point.
Well, because their points are given for position.
Yes.
Right. So 20 for the first person
Right.
through line. And so, if you're strategic, and we saw some strategy at play there, you don't have to win every stage to take home the top spot.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. So 3 laps volcano at the end. We saw some people move up position through the stages.
Oh my gosh,
yesterday.
Quentin Lefay, who was further back in the climb, we're like, oh, I thought he was going to come out a little bit stronger today. Savvy like a fox, decided he was going to use his real talents at those points. Managed to out-sprint some people to take 3rd in that second stage, and then took 3rd in that, again, in the big sprint on the final stage, and moved up to 3rd overall
right.
after finishing further down in that first. It was so clever.
And I don't know if these ladies can take advantage maybe of what if they did happen to watch.
So many of them were here watching.
So if they had a chance to watch without me, I wonder if that played into their strategy a little
probably
bit.
did, probably
because
did.
you're watching, saying, and then maybe that's I'm more like Gavin, or I'm more like Oren Star. So what strategies did they use? What were effective, and how is that going to apply to me? We should maybe take a look at the riders here.
Oh my gosh, you're going to love these riders. Some of them you already know if you're a virtual cycling degenerate like some of us, right? Or a fan.
Enthusiast, yes.
Enthusiast, right. But if you have a Liz Rice poster in your garage.
I do.
You do, okay, I know you do. Then you may be all in on this idea. But Liz Rice, our first rider from the United Kingdom, sitting in position 1, not very far away from us. Her posters are on sale on her website, of course, so you'll have to check those out. But she is a really, really strong rider, and I think more than any, the 3rd stage really sets her up for success today.
It does. She's very experienced. Okay,
Yes.
so she has ridden all.
Whoa! You throwing darts around here?
No, I'm not. I'm saying
Okay.
that I've seen her numbers. She was a very competitive
kind of experience.
Cat 3
Okay.
road and mountain bike racer.
Yes.
So she knows what she's doing. She's
Yes, she
got
does.
strategy up there, and so she's quite amazing to watch. So I think that she's going to really take advantage of her power.
Yep.
She's going to be prepared for those attacks.
No doubt.
She's going to be prepared for those little bursts of energy
Yeah.
that she's going to need. So it's going to be exciting to see what strategies she deploys.
Now, one of our French national riders, also in this group in position 2, are excited to see is Fleur Kessels, right? Great rider from France. She's a little bit younger, but she is a notable road nationals finisher in the past. So.
Yeah, 26 years old. She had a little accident, and she was coming back so she discovered Zwift.
Yes.
And so
as many people do.
Yes, and through an injury.
Yes.
But what's really exciting about that is that she never gave up. So that spirit of I'm injured, I'm going to heal,
Yep.
and I'm going to stay strong while I heal. So she has got a lot of personal fight, and
Yes.
and it's important to think about that in this race, because when you're in the hurt zone and you have to have a little bit of fight in you, and so I'm rooting for Fleur. We're going to see some surprises there from her, I think.
Yes. Now, Melanie Libéry, we're very excited excited to see her, also French, 23-year-old, sitting in that 3rd position, really focused in her warm-up right now, excited to see what she's going to be able to do. Now, she is someone who had a real success in different stages of that race, making sure that she was kind of at or near the front the whole time. Very savvy for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, so she raced with her hat. She's a very strategic racer. And we're going to see, I'm sure we're going to see very strong. And again, that was one of those things where those lines where, just at the end, she
Yep.
could have gone either way, whichever heat she was in. But this, she's a strong rider. So we're
Now,
see a lot
I'll
from her.
point out here that we have two French cyclists back to back in the line here. Now we're in a
Yep.
straight line, so they know each other pretty well. And unlike some of the other riders in different positions, they're going to be able to read each other's body language. Pretty
They are.
well.
That's the thing. When you're racing on Zwift, like in your basement or whatever,
Yeah.
you don't have those telltale signs.
Unless you're a Jedi,
Yeah.
as I've established, right?
I wish I had those superpowers. We'll have to talk. I have
we'll
to,
work in the break here, but some little Jedi mind trick
all right,
business.
Dr.
Okay.
Haskell. Okay, Angela Mann. Okay,
Yes,
the
pretzel fan,
Yes,
Angela Mann.
yes. So I love pretzel bread too. So
Oh, yeah.
we could hang. So the 28-year-old Zoot rider, she is just a crit rider. She's like amazingly strong. So she, you're going to come out of the gate.
And this is one of these, I think this will really benefit her. Now, she got separated a little bit on the climbs yesterday. We had such a crazy strong climb right at the beginning of that race, and we saw some folks get separated. She was in the same race as Rachel Elliott, and that's just not fair, right? It's not fair to anyone. If you put Rachel Elliott's clone in the same race, it wouldn't be fair to Rachel Elliott's clone, right?
Right.
Who would win in a race versus Rachel Elliott and Rachel Elliott?
Anyone's guess.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Christina Willis, another strong rider. She is an Ironman triathlete. That's really, I was talking with her last night over dinner. Really a great woman. Very strong. She loves triathlon. She's got some more triathlons coming up. And we talked a lot about her 80s themed cruise. So, we'll get more from that maybe post-race.
Very, very nice. Okay. We also have in this Jenny Johansson, right? Very excited, from Denmark, an experienced racer as well. She's done a lot of stuff in the marathon world as well. She is not, of course, our last rider, because in the 7th position, we have Dixie Newsome doing a great job yesterday in the race, surprising some people. But it shouldn't, because she was the state crit champion this year. She is great at crits. I wonder if we're going to see some fireworks between her and Angela Mann trying to get in this crit that we've got
That's
here.
a really nice matchup there to see what they do. I think they're definitely going to be trading positions. And then Cristina Torres from Spain, the ODZ rider.
Yes.
And she found Zwift and so many of these riders.
After my own heart, not only the ODZ piece, but she's a music teacher and loves rock.
She
Right?
can rock.
I
Maybe
was
you
a
guys can
music teacher.
jam.
I
Maybe
was a music
maybe you
teacher
guys
for a
can
long time.
jam.
Oh, Jessica
And then the crowd
York.
favorite, Jessica York. She said she calls herself a Navy brat, but there's nothing bratty about her.
Yes,
she
that's
is
so true.
the heart of gold. A very strong rider. She does a lot of the Zwift ladies races. A Zwift Academy graduate, which last year, I was just have to say, that was a crushing program. They've changed it up a little bit this year, but what an accomplishment for Jessica York.
And another crowd favorite from the UK, Carrie Conabear, and we adore her. She participates in a lot of the women's races that I get to participate in as well. Excuse me, not as a rider,
Commenter,
but as
using your Jedi magic.
Using Jedi magic. No, it really is just the no filter and the willingness to open my mouth. But Carrie is going to be great in this race. Now we're getting close to the start here. A couple things we ought to point out. This race is going to start, as we mentioned, in that big climb. And it's going to be, I think, as it always is, when the gate drops, a panic.
Right.
And then it's going to settle in.
Yes.
Do we think anybody's going to drill it from the very start there, other than to try to get back in the group?
Well, there's a chance to create a little separation right off the top. I mean, maybe Angela, Dixie, maybe. They might come out really strong at the front. But if you want to have a chance of positioning yourself well for this climb, for this stage, you can't lose that main group off the front, because you're going to get that separation on the hill immediately. So that's going to, every rider has different strengths and characteristics. Not everyone's a climber. So if you know you're not a climber, you want to establish your position before you hit the climb, because you're going to be fighting to keep it.
It's true. It's true. There are a couple of folks in here, the time trialists, the people that are, I think Jen is an example, Liz is an example. Those who do many more triathlons, this might actually be in their wheelhouse a little bit, because it's about finding that pain zone and just sticking to it.
Right, not letting up on it, not letting up on it.
And so this will be interesting, because it's not even who gets to the top first. Now that can certainly set you up for success.
Right.
But you definitely don't want to be further back, because once you fall behind in those points, it becomes very difficult to move up as you go through each of those stages.
That's right. That's right.
That can be tricky.
But you also want to conserve enough
conserve enough. That was what was interesting about Quentin's performance, and it will have some standout performances in this as well. But he was very thoughtful and very strategic about that, and used his energy when he could. He knew that he wasn't going to go toe-to-toe with the climbers, you know, someone like an Alexei Luge. But he definitely knew what he was able to do. And I wonder the same of our crit superstars, right?
Yep.
And we're getting close to the pen here. Give me a prediction, right? Now we don't play favorites here, but give me a prediction. Who would you expect to see really at the top of this first stage?
Yeah. I'm kind of putting my money on Conabear.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I feel like you know, she has a lot of power. She's a light rider.
Yep.
And she's got a lot of fight in her. She's an experienced.
Boy, and if you watched yesterday, you watched that broadcast just now, you know she's got a lot of fight in her, because that's exactly what she did.
Let up. And I think that, you know, if she can get some points off the top there, because a lighter rider is less favored on the flat. So you know, if she can kind of get some points on this climb, so that will kind of help her in the crit, where maybe she can't lay down as much power as an Angela Mann, or she can't lay down as much power as a Liz, maybe when at that time of the stage. You know, I think that she can get an advantage there.
Okay, the gate is about to drop, and this is going to be exciting. Now, we'll see a flurry of action from the very start, but it'll be 10 to 15 seconds before we know if people are really, really going that hard. Okay, lots of folks kicking around. We see Liz making sure that she's going to get to the front of this group. Again, the panic at the start. Fleur wants to make sure she's in the front, but she's not going to hold 400 plus watts for the remainder of this race. Now, she might be able to drill some of that on the climb, but they're definitely starting to come together. The problem, and this has happened to both you and I in these different races, is if you find yourself like Angela Mann in that gap, all of those other folks are starting to relax a little bit, but she has to keep the pressure on.
She does. You know, you don't want to be in between the gaps.
Yep. Christina Willis trying to make the decision here. Am I going to just solo hard bridge this, or are they going to relax a little bit? The benefit of this game and this type of racing is you can see the numbers of the other riders, and they're starting to relax a little bit and come back together as we would expect.
That's right. And now as we come onto the main road here, we're going to come up and we're going to make a left. We're going to do a little flat section before we come to the climb. And you know, I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see any separation here. I think they're going to stay as a group. And then when we hit that climb over the bridge, I think is where we're going to really see some of the action. So with that break in there, right now we've got 30 seconds back. We've got that Liz, right? So.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you know, as we've been bouncing around looking at these different riders, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner of their screen, they've got a power-up. Now, you don't automatically get a power-up when you start, but it tells the savvy of some of these other riders who rode enough in a warm-up and in a certain course, in a certain way, that they actually earned one of those power-ups. And a number of these riders, and we won't mention who on the broadcast here because we don't want to give away any strategic advantage, a number of them actually grabbed the feather. So they rode around long enough to know that they need a feather. Now the feather, only for about 15 seconds, drops your weight dramatically. So it does allow you to go light as a feather, ride uphill a little faster. It's not going to get you to the top.
No, but it might in that circumstance where you're at the end and it's tight.
Right.
And you know, and you want the 20 points, not the 16.
Right.
So the point differentials on the placement at the end, you know, can matter. So you know that if you're 15 seconds back from that first group, well, okay, you know, maybe you're not going to fight for that 15 seconds because you know you've got a certain position and you're going to get a certain amount of points. But you're 1, 2, 3 and you're duking out in the end, you drop that feather, that might mean the difference. I mean, you might get 4 points on your competitor, and that's a nice way to start into stage 2.
Boy, it is. And as we're kind of moving through this, we see that the group is together here. We do have a chase group of folks who missed that initial move, and that turned out to be a little bit more dangerous than we thought. We've got Christina in that group, and we've got, more than one Christina, and Jessica's also in that group as well. We're going to have to be very careful about how we call these names because we definitely want to break that out. But of course, we're talking York, Torres, and Willis. In that chase group, only 6 seconds back. Now, the good news for them is that the group, even with Liz on the front, is not really crushing it at this point. Although Liz hears her name and she kicks it up just a little bit. Yeah, I hear my name. I'm going a little bit harder. I'm not letting these people talk about me. But that gap is about 7 seconds now. So this is not going to ultimately determine if they get to this climb. It's entirely possible that either of the Christinas, Torres, or Willis will be able to move past some of these other riders. but you don't want that big of a gap this early on. And that's the danger of one of these just drop gate, just crazy starts.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, now that even if these riders weren't experienced with the Zwift starts, they had a prime they had a crash course on it yesterday.
No kidding.
So when we say that often, maybe you more than me about the 30 seconds.
Right.
I might have stolen that from you, but
a little off the bat. Yes.
a little bit.
Christian Wendenberg in the CycleView rankings here just gave a cheer out for Christina Willis. Big bucks, by the way. Svelin Emerson also cheering on riders here. And you can see all these. Christina Willis as well. Very popular rider. Sulin Emerson is also cheering. We're going to guess. Oh, no, it's different. Angela Mann. And the most recent one, Christian Wendenberg, with that $1 cheer, which goes directly to this growing
15,
prize
not even
pool.
a $1, 15. These guys are really putting it down for these riders.
No kidding.
And we see Angela with a big smile on her face. She's like, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time.
That's right. She's got her 80s style sweatband in there. She's repping as she does.
I love it. One of the things too, when you see these up close visuals of the riders, I've had a couple days to spend time with them. Oh my gosh, there's so much personality.
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And so seeing them work, and you're seeing, like, there's Jessica York with her game face on. She is serious about that. She is holding it. She's got her Zwift Academy shirt on.
Yes,
Let me
she
tell you,
does.
there was only 110 of those in game.
That's right.
It. So there's only 110
That
of
is
those.
a special jersey.
Yeah, and
without a doubt.
then Jenny Johnson, she's doing fabulous. She's looking focused. She is not keeping her eyes. She is steady.
No kidding. She doesn't want to hear a thing from us right now. So here's what we've got. We've got a little bit more of a gap between that lead group and that chase group. But this is going to break apart here pretty soon. As you look at the course profile, if you're checking it out on CycleView, what you see is a nice, cruisy, green, beautiful section. And then the drama starts, right?
It does. And
orange, yellow, red, dark red, blood red, black hole. It's just the worst kind of color you could expect on a climb. No one wants to see that.
And it never really relaxes. You can see there's a little spot of green about halfway up. That's kind of like a false
That's
flat
right.
there.
The only way you can, the only two ways out of this climb is to get to the top early or in the sweet embrace of death. And we hope we don't see the latter. Definitely the former. And they're getting close. We're going to see this first bumper as they're coming up and out of the tunnel. Those are always really uncomfortable for those who are riding it. You see that percentage kick up there, and that's not something that you're going to like. More than 3% in there in little spots. That is a big chunk of stuff. So they're going to flatten out here a little bit, and then we'll see, because this normally just kind of breaks up a little bit. If there's a little gap in front of you, as there is was just a moment ago with Dixie Newsom, Carrie Conabear right where she needs to be. But if you have that little gap when you get to the flat after a little climber like this,
yeah,
that is a lot of work. You have to keep high in the heart rate to stay there. Now we're getting ready for some of these fireworks, and I'm hoping in a moment we can throw to our guy Hunter and find out just a little bit more about what we're experiencing down there. That's the great thing about Coach. It's nice to have him ready to go when something like this happens.
Well, he always has those perspectives,
Right.
Having sort of hearing the things that he says to the coaches, you're like, oh, right, do I spend it now? So that the strategy that's going to be deployed from the coaching perspective, from the physiological level about what we have, is so incredibly enlightening. And sometimes there's things that you weren't thinking about, like, oh, I know it's a match, but really, what does that mean?
Right.
So
yeah, he can give you the science for the things that you may recognize yourself, but often he'll surprise you with some interesting things. Boy, it's neat to see all of the fans looping around these different cyclists. It's fun to see those things. All right, things are about to start heating up here. We'll keep it here for just a second, and then we'll have Hunter describe what's happening, because I think we're going to start to see a spread in the group here.
Feathers are dropped there.
Oh, the feathers are dropping. Angela Mann finds herself on the backside, just kind of sitting on a rider, making sure that she's got somebody around her. But it looks like we've definitely got some folks off the front here. Carrie Conabear, not happy with her performance yesterday. Dixie also at the front of that group. Melanie as well. Dixie Newsom looks to be in the lead. No, Melanie takes it right back from her. We're seeing this group start to spread out up the hill, and now we're going to start to see heavy load on the legs. And the perfect person to go to is our guy, Hunter Allen, coach of Coach, to describe what's happening physiologically with these riders right now as they hit this hill.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. They are at and over their threshold right now, the functional threshold power, the place where you can ride for about an hour, but they're over it right now. They're at what we call their VO2 max. We have Dixie Newsom right here. She's breathing hard. Her heart rate is 191 right now. She's doing 288 watts. She's right at the front. This is a huge effort. This gets super steep right here. She's going to have to dig deep. Her heart rate just went to 194. Her power just went up to 300 watts. You know, this is hard. She's going to have to make sure that she paces herself at the same time. She's staying with the front group. This is tough. It's above threshold. It's in her VO2 max zone. And we're going to see, you know, you can only maintain that for 3 to 5 minutes because otherwise you're going to blow up. So back to you guys. Exciting, exciting event right now.
No kidding. We got a big gap happening here right now, and we see it on the course as we look over Melanie's shoulder. She's in that lead group. They're dancing around each other coming up on this section here. Wow, it is some fireworks certainly happening here as they continue to make this big climb. Very exciting up the course. Now, as we see here, the pain, the digging, as Liz Rice gets ready to make this next chunk up. This first chunk to me is just so tricky and so hard. It's not easy at all as we kind of build toward the castle, but it looks like we've got a commanding lead, and Beth will know all about this. Dixie, Melanie, and Carrie in that lead group. So impressed for Carrie, your early pick.
Yeah, you know, those are all light and strong riders, and so this course really favors their riding style. Yeah. You know, we've got the chase kind of broken up, and this is going to be a matter of like, you know, where they want to place. But I know Carrie's so strong, and you know, Dixie yesterday in her performance, he really showed what she was made of. And same with Melanie. Like all, these three riders were you know, showed so much strength yesterday, and I'm just so impressed what they're carrying forward today.
No kidding.
Because they have that little bit fatigue from yesterday, and that speaks to their training, right? Where they can come back and recover from that, you know, over threshold effort for over 20 minutes. I mean, you know, 40 minutes of hard work yesterday, less than 24 hours later, bringing it back and climbing that hill.
Now, Fleur, very interestingly, she's going to make sure she gets plenty of points on this stage. She's holding 7 seconds in front of Jenny Johansson and making sure that she gets up there. Fleur Kessel's really in that 4th position right now. That's not the battle, but it's an important distinction to make as we start to look at these gaps. Now, the time gaps do not matter.
Nope.
Unless
there's a tie.
Unless there's a tie in points. So if you've got an opportunity to get a couple extra seconds without using all of your reserves, and we'll see what kind of reserves these riders have here very shortly, we'll find out really what they're made of. But we see this dancing around. Carrie Conaber, Melanie, and Dixie, all there in that lead group kind of marking one another. They're coming across the bridge, and then it's going to get serious.
Yeah, now the bridge grade here, it softens just a little.
Just a little.
So it, you know, it's a nice little break before you just kind of hit that, and it never stops. So it's a slight little break. It's still an incline, about 2 or 3% grade, but you know, if they're conserving, you know, they've got to be ready to go. Something's going to happen.
It's true, and strategically, it was a very interesting decision that these riders made. So a number of these riders have used their power-ups, right? And they had those feather power-ups, and they did so to make sure that they were connected to the leaders. Now, they're empty, so this is just straight power. There are no secret cards in the deck, I don't believe. I wouldn't give that away necessarily. So riders, if you're listening, don't take my word for it. Don't trust anything that comes out of my mouth. I did claim earlier that Hunter was a collector of cat statues. That has neither been confirmed nor denied by Hunter.
No, there were 3 facts, and we're going to figure out which one was the false fact.
False fact, exactly right. Very interesting as we see, a big push coming by here. A little bit more effort here. This could qualify as an attack as Melanie pushes a little bit harder. Dixie, Carrie also pushing harder. You see Melanie Liberie out of the saddle there. She gets her head down. It's happening now. She says, we're going to catch on to Carrie. Carrie puts down the hard power, still seated. It's interesting. Some riders have more power seated. Others have more power standing.
Just got overtaken, but I don't know if she's going to take it. If she's going to take it, though.
Very interesting. Now, you'll recognize Carrie with that really cool kind of multi-camo right there jersey. That's the jersey of choice for her today. Melanie in game, of course, she's got that vision kit on. They're just leapfrogging each other. What is going on here? Is this some design that they've got to keep their names in the, they've got another one coming by.
Yeah.
They're just these, I don't know if these are real attacks or are these just little, you know what, it almost looks like they're drafting each other. Like they're doing a pace line.
Yeah.
I wonder if they are. Now, doggone, I'm going to pay more attention to their watts, but it would appear as such because no one is breaking away and they seem to be moving around in this really almost prescribed order. Stretching out just a little bit here. Melanie says, I got to make sure that I'm on her wheel. But that was pretty cool. Thank you, ladies, for that.
For that show. I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, it's very hard to time in the game.
That's right.
Your power to do a proper pace line where you're trading off the front.
I haven't seen choreography that talented since Broadway. Very cool. They're coming up to the village now, and this is where you've at least got some scenery to look at, but it's not very good. Carrie Conneberry looks like she's going around the outside there. Big push. That is going to kick her outside. The mechanics of the game allow you to do that. If you put in a big dig like that, it'll spin you wide, which is one of those in-game body language things. If the Vision cyclist comes around her again,
and
my
says, no,
goodness.
I still have some, sister.
That's
this is
right.
not yours.
Oh!
This is anybody's finish. We are like with just over a kilometer to go.
Goodness.
Just over a kilometer to go here to the castle.
They're giving us a fantastic show here, but I got to point out that these are still only worth 20, 16, and 13 points, right? You could totally ruin your race by being too involved in an attack like this. Now, that is not to talk these women out of giving us this great show.
There's 2 more stages. There are 2 more stages.
But we should point out very sneakily, Fleur has come back. She had a pretty big gap. She has closed it to 3 seconds. Fleur Kessels can see those riders, and she is drilling out a constant pace.
There's that heart. There's that fighter in her.
No kidding.
Yeah, there she is.
And she's got some tricks up her sleeve without a doubt. She has been very cagey to this point. She's letting these girls kind of attack and beat each other up, biding her time. 2 seconds is the gap now to the last rider, Melanie, in this group, and she's keeping that steady pace up. Now, these other girls are doing more surging. They're not really helping each other out. Oh, Carrie with the big push trying to get away at this time. And it looks like we're going to see Fleur close that gap. It's getting smaller and smaller. Very interesting, her strategic move. It looks like we have pretty well established our first 4 unless there's a breakdown, but not sure how it's going to end out here. You make the point that Carrie, who's now on the front really drilling it, actually has now put a 1 second lead on Melanie and Dixie. The system is no longer seeing them together. They are calling Melanie and Dixie a chase group. Carrie clearly off the front, stretching it to 2 seconds now. She wants to be the first to the cobbles.
Yeah, and so now we might have Fleur come up and join and have a little battle for the second placement on this if she gets up there.
Yeah, very, very cool. So Dixie is making sure that she does not disconnect, but it appears that Carrie is moving away with this. Now, after the effect that she had yesterday, if you remember it, you saw it on the broadcast just a little bit ago, Carrie found herself, it was a great story to tell, but she got trimmed off the back and she had to chase the main field solo far too long, and in the end she burned up too many of the fuel reserves that she had, and when the big attacks came she hadn't recovered enough to make that happen, to stay with that group. She was very disappointed when I spoke with her after the race yesterday, but that is fueling her today. She wants to show how strong she is, and she's not going to take any guff, stretching that lead now to 10 seconds on the chase group. And to point out, Fleur has caught Melanie and Dixie, who eased up just a hair. Fleur did not. It'll be interesting to see how this comes out. Fleur driving it at the front, and now she's got 2 seconds. Boy, she has moved up through this group beautifully. Now chasing Carrie, and she's only 9 seconds back from Carrie. And I'm going to be honest, Fleur is doing a better turn at the front than Carrie is. It just determines to be seen how much runway there is left.
Carrie's just less like 0.3 kilometers from the finish right now.
Right.
So the castle's going to start to come into view shortly.
The rider just rounds the corner. Lots of ride-ons from the group here.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know. Is it enough time? I mean, do you think that we're going to see a move? Or that's a lot of time on a hill.
We could see a move. We could definitely see a move. But Fleur's got to really catch her there, and she's doing a better turn here. Her heart rate is certainly super, super high. Melanie and Dixie there together. Dixie sitting on her wheel there, just hanging back a couple of meters. But Fleur is the one putting in the champion's performance right now, trying to call this back, saying, Carrie, come back. I've got a hook into you. I'm pulling you back, just almost like climbing up a rope, a hand at a time. She's got her head down. She's convinced that she can do this. Heart rate super
but
high.
Carrie is not letting up. She
No,
is still
she's
dropping
not.
3.8. She is like saying, I'm going to hold on to this lead.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna hang on to
7
this
seconds
lead.
is a pretty dramatic lead when you've got less than a K to go here. And it remains to be seen if Fleur wants to try to take those 3 points from her, or if she's going to be content with that second position. 7 seconds is a long way to go, but Carrie is on her own at the front here with some tricks in her bag still. I can't believe at this point that you're going to be wrong in your prediction. She's going to probably take this stage unless Fleur has something amazing in her hip pocket that we haven't seen yet. We see her. There's not enough visibility. You can see the castle coming into view. She's not backing off at all. She's still pushing hard. She doesn't want that 9 seconds to come back from Melanie and Dixie. She's probably going to take this second position and those 16 points. But that's a 4-point differential of these two competitors that's going to be hard for Fleur to overcome.
And I think Carrie just came across.
Carrie comes across
the
right now,
line,
or
and
she's about to.
come
She drops her
the feather.
feather,
She's like, I am taking no chances.
no chances. That's right.
And there she
Use
goes.
that sucker up. Now, this is an interesting decision because she could have kept that into the next race. Now she starts one without it. So strategically, that's a big, important deal. Now, any one of these fans or riders could walk down the line. Fleur coming into the finish right now. Dixie Newsom, of course, also into that finish. We start to see our riders kind of line out and finish here. Angela will be the next one, or perhaps Jenny chasing up the group here. But we start to see that was an interesting decision. She wanted to make sure she crossed the line, but she may have created a problem for herself by dropping that feather before she really needed it, right?
Yeah. I mean, because she had a good lead. She didn't necessarily need to activate that. If Fleur had closed it and was like, right on her heels, then yes. Now here's a time that the arrow boost on the hill, does that have that much of an effect there?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We're dealing with a mechanical on course here right now. The folks are coming quick to try to fix this. Thankfully, that was we're at the end of this race. Mo, it looks like we're going to have Angela Mann jump back in here in a second, but we actually had a mechanical on her device right there. We'll work on it and get her back in as quickly as we can. Jenny, covering that distance actually eases up for her, wants to wait for the fallen in real life and on the course rider. We'll report on that a little bit more in a minute, but let's kind of talk just about this breakdown here. We talked about the strategic piece with Carrie. She loses her feather. Maybe she doesn't need to, but we do have Fleur Kessels in there in that second position, followed by Libéry, the other French rider, as well in that third position. 13th position, and Newsom in 11th, well, not 11th position, but 4th position,
points.
11 points
Yeah.
overall.
Yep.
We're seeing these other riders come in, and right now, if it finishes the way we see it, we've got Johnson, Mann, Rice, and Torres as well in that group, rounding out that top 8 with Willis and York finishing it up. Okay. So as we see this finishing out, there's some pretty substantial gaps between these other riders.
But the time isn't really mattering at this point. At this point, they're going to be for place.
Yep.
They're going to be for place. I mean, if there is a tie, that the time comes back into play for breaking that tie.
Yes.
But they've got points, and someone like a Jessica York who has some power on the flats, someone like Liz who has some power on the flats. They can make up some of those points. In the crit portion if they played their cards right. Depends on how much they've spent here.
Yep.
But it's going to be really exciting to see the way that they deploy their strategy.
Yep. So Angela Mann, a very popular cyclist here, and a lot of absolute potential, had a crash, and we don't see these very often in virtual cycling, but something broke or came disconnected from her trainer setup. We're not sure if it was bike at this point or if it was setup. Something caused her to come out. She came over onto the concrete here in the room. She's really disappointed with what's going on. She's being consoled by some of her folks here. We'll find out from our folks here exactly how that's going to be scored and how that's going to work out. We've got folks hustling to get her a new bike on the trainer so she can finish this. That's rule number 1. We definitely want every rider to finish under their own power and not advance, folks. They're doing a great job of having that ready, just like you would in a team car. So when you have a Sagan or a Froome or a Cancellara who has a mechanical in a race, we'll throw Angela Mann into this group as well. There's this moment where you wait for the folks to come in and make those changes so that you can get back to riding. And this is a very similar situation. We'll get a moment here when we have a second with Hunter, when he's done helping with the setup, maybe even with Mark McIntosh, our lead official, and find out exactly how that's going to be dealt with. But as our riders finish this ride, we have all but 3 finish the race. Angela Mann still technically on course. Christina passes her, Willis just a little bit, and we've got Jessica York in that last position. There's a chance that we're going to get her on the bike, and those two could conceivably finish together, and I think that that's probably likely going to happen. Getting everything fitted, a new bike on there, the right pedals, and all those details, that is tricky. Certainly, Angela is going to be able to continue this race. It may be on a different bike. She'll have to do that.
Right.
She may not be satisfied with the points that she has here, but her day is not done,
it's not
nor
over.
is her opportunity to finish well in the money. This is really exciting. The prize pool continues to go up, no doubt. Yeah, and for those who have the ability to jump in and are watching on the CycleView app, you can contribute. You could give a $10 "We love you, Angela" to her, and she'll see it on her screen.
That's
and
right.
We'll certainly call it out. Kevin Connors gives $10 to Melanie Laborie,
Yep.
which is nice to see. Lots of folks, people cheering for Justin Purificati, who hasn't raced yet. Very, very cool. So
as we look down the line here, what happens next is the riders have to get to the next stage.
Yep.
So so for each of these stages, it's not just finish the stage. There's a time limit.
there's a time limit,
There's
right?
a time limit. So it looks like all of the ladies are going to finish in time. We'll figure out what's happening with Angela's circumstances right now. Certainly, these are beyond our control.
Yeah,
and,
no kidding.
And she's
So let's find out a little bit more from Hunter about what happened here and what's being done to get her back in the race.
Wow, well, Chris and Beth, holy cow, we have had a bit of an accident here. Something happened with her bicycle, broke the rear derailleur hanger off. The bike fell off the trainer. Too much power, she says, Angela's saying. But we are just absolutely, everybody's throwing in teamwork here. We've got another bike frame for her, getting her seat on, and we're back in the game here. So hopefully she just wants to finish the next stage. She's got to finish this stage and got to get to the next stage. So kind of a little panic situation here going on, but I think we're going to make it.
Okay, well, good.
Thank you for the update. Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah.
We got to get her to the top. I know. We got to get these riders to the top. Jessica's still on course as well on this tough climb, and they've got to. It'll be interesting to see how she gets warmed up in this process as well. Real quick, we want to give one of our winners of our Cyclogen giveaway that was part of the social media campaign leading up to this, and we have some folks that won a Wahoo ticker, which is a really advanced, cool heart rate monitor. That a number of those were given away, and those riders, not some of them are known riders, participated, and those folks, those names would be folks like, Luis Nagy, Phil Clogston, and Igor, Jakub Malek.
And a couple here that got the backpack giveaway here. We brought up on the screen, and
a T-shirt and a backpack giveaway
yep.
on this one.
The next time I'm going to duck below that box.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
pop
right.
it back
and pop up.
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So it would come down and pop up.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into in just a moment, our pen again, but. When we saw this breakout, we definitely have some strong leadership in this and some great points.
Yeah.
Angela Mann getting in this next group. She's going to be given the points for her finish position. She's not out of the points. And it'll be interesting to see how she scored in this. We'll know more about it. It looks like she finished still ahead with the space that she had covered, still ahead of Jessica York. But those are certainly not the points that she thought she was going to get when she was about in 5th position.
Right.
But she also didn't have the toughest part of the climb. She may have some freshness in her legs. What's Angela's play here as really still one of the favorites?
Well, she can really take advantage of that explosive power that she has. So we're going into stage 2, which is hilly reverse. So she has a little bit of familiarity of the course, but it's in reverse, so that hills come at different times. So I think that she's also going to come out with a little bit of fire in her belly.
Oh, yeah.
And, as a crit racer, she's used to answering the call.
No kidding.
And so I think that we're going to say, do not count me out. out. Do
No,
not count me
no, no.
out. And it's going to be fun to watch how she uses that power. So there's still that one climb, but it's not really necessarily a climber's course.
No, and honestly, we know as we get ready to start here, we're almost ready to drop into the pen, we know that some of the best athletes have crashes. Angela had one here just on the trainer.
Yep.
I had one before we went live as I tried to enter this stage. All the fabulous athletes have these kinds of issues. It just is part of the game, whether you're commentating or racing. So 20 seconds to go before we start here, and I think when the gate drops, we can expect a lot of the same
power. We're gonna see Angela take it out of the gate. She's gonna come back with a vengeance. We know that. We're 10 seconds away.
And so how do you make sure that you stay connected? This panic at the beginning, which maybe isn't a necessary panic, always happens when we drop a gate for a start.
And it's a sprint usually.
Yeah, here it is. And they're dropping the gate, and we go. And we see some of those big numbers kind of coming out of the gates. Dixie into the red, Melanie into the red, Fleur into the red, and we see them kind of line it out. Again, they definitely, Fleur with the gel in her mouth, she didn't have the opportunity to take that in all the way. These are short turnarounds. You can give yourself more rest in between if you finish faster, right?
You can, then you're hoping that you have that time to recover for what you just spent. But the difference between yesterday's racing and today's racing is the fueling, right? So it's a little bit longer. You'll definitely be going over an hour, which really makes you need to think about what you need to fuel your body. I mean, yesterday most everybody finished in under 45 minutes, so you can fuel ahead of time and make sure you just need a sip here and there if you're a little dry. But the bottom line for this one is like you really have to think about when am I going to do the fuel? What do I need for fuel? And how do I get that in?
It's so true. Now, Fleur making sure she's in the front of this group. Unfortunately, we've got Jessica a little bit off the back and a gap between Liz and Christina. Liz had such a great race last time. She's definitely got to close this gap. She's going to have to, put her arm around her buddy Christina and say, let's do this together, because they do not want to be that far back in the group. Willis and Torres definitely trying to push to the front there. Christina Torres making the cut at this point. Carrie Conabear on the back of that group. She doesn't want to dangle too far off the back, but Fleur is putting down the power. Melanie as well. We've got two French riders on the front right now as they come through this not difficult but certainly not easy section.
No, and they're going to go into what we call the area of the S's, where it kind of undulates and rolls a little bit. And when you go into that area, that it's not, in this direction, you may not, this early in the race, you may not see any attacks. But if you're going to come through the second time around, we might see some more action here. Right now, they're kind of clumped together. We've got Fleur, Melanie, Jenny, Christina, Carrie, Angela, and Dixie, all kind of holding it tight. They're going to be trading some positions a little bit. But they're settling in a little bit on their pace here.
Yes.
And, maybe someone has something in their legs that they're going to go. But I don't think we're going to see anything right now from Fleur or from Conabear. I think they're going to kind of hang tight, and they're going to use their advantage that we just saw that they have on the climb for when they get to the climb.
Now, big pushing happening right here. I think we're going to jump down to Coach Hunter right now, who's been right alongside Angela Mann, helping her get set up, and she is in this race proper. Help us understand what Angela's going through, Coach, and maybe also what it's like after a hard push like this, a little bit of a spin, and then a hard go again. What's happening physiologically and with our friend Angela?
Well, we've had quite the excitement here, Angela, and she's recovered. We've got a new bike for her. Now, her heart rate hasn't recovered. Her heart rate's already 190. She's back in the game. She's back in the peloton. She's riding. Angela, how are you doing?
It's okay. Just keep riding.
She's on a different bike. We barely had a chance to get her pedals on. From a physiological standpoint, all those endorphins are really going through her system at the same time. She's definitely stressed, right? All these riders are stressed. That's a part of it. She's pushing hard. She's back in the game, so she's at least got, hey, I'm back in the game. I'm riding again. But now is the time where need to calm down a little bit, need to get the heart rate down, bring some of those wattage numbers down, but at the same time, pace, right? Because we've still got two more stages. We've got to finish this stage, and we got our final stage to go. So she's got her work cut out for her right now.
That big group. Thanks, Coach. This is awesome. And we expect largely what we would expected to see. And we've got this big group at the front. Carrie, who was sitting kind of tail gunning a little bit, moves back to the front of that group, making sure that she's near the front. She's got to be careful not to put it all out there early on. There's still a lot of racing left. We're still in the opening lap of this second stage.
You know, and it's interesting that, you know, when you're in the pen and you're getting to go for a start, your heart rate is elevated anyway.
Yes.
And so they're coming from a race and they come to the gate twice after that
Oh,
first
boy.
stage. So it's kind of another dynamic that,
Yes.
like, you know, that you're not, and when you settle into a race, you kind of, even though your heart rate's up, you kind of get into that like zone.
Oh, totally.
So you're in the zone and then you get taken out of the zone and then you got to
Yep.
get back in the zone. So there's a lot of, I think, emotional, like head game stuff that
Boy,
that
you're
can
not
be
kidding.
going on in there.
And we're seeing a little bit of gamesmanship happening right here. Carrie gets a 1 second gap on the group. Now that's not really escaping, but what it causes is her competitors to decide who's going to close that gap. And there's a little bit of a delay as they look around to one another, going, "Are you going to do it, Angela? Are you going to do it, Fleur? Newsom, Dixie? Is it you? What's going to happen?" And she's gotten a little bit of a gap here. It's early and it's a long way to go by herself, but she's causing her competitors to drop power-ups. They're losing some of the advantage that they have, trying to pull her back. And now this has stretched a little bit. Yeah, they pulled her back.
They pulled it back. And, you know, one of the things that I've noticed in game is that, you know, that's like a real, like that's a move. That's
psychological move.
It is. I've got something. Because she knows she's not going to get away on her own.
No.
You know, so, you know, the amount of power that she's going to have to get away on her own with 7 people behind her, they're going to catch her.
And it's not nice for these other riders. I mean, they've got to be just so mad. It's like Carrie's kicking puppies right now. It's like, how dare you?
Right.
We're all suffering here, and you decide you're going to kick some puppies?
Well, you know, maybe too, she was also like saying, "Who's going to come with me? You know,
Yeah.
can I break this up a little bit? Who's going to come with me? Come on, ladies, come on. Let's break this up a little bit. Let's make that race for those points a little bit different. You know,
Right,
know. So sometimes that can happen where you know, one person gets away and no one comes with you, and then you decide, okay, I'm on my own here. I'm going to drop back. So she might have made that decision.
It's true, and you test the waters to see if you can get a little bit of an advantage. That was a decent place to do it, certainly, as you were kind of coming through those S's, coming down on the bridge. She also may have noticed that she had a physical gap, and sometimes when you drift off the front like that, you create a little bit of a physical gap, and then you wonder, is this an opportunity?
Right.
Now, she's not out of sight, out of mind in any sense. They're coming up over a little riser hill. You know, Melanie Labouré also trying to get up and over that. Just so you know, I think now I have checked off every possible pronunciation of her name. If there are others, send them to me on social media.
Well,
but
you could go through and make each of the consonants silent.
That's true.
You know,
Okay.
there's always
We're not done.
that version.
So,
So I'm going to give you a little challenge.
So Melanie Ray is doing really well here at the front. We'll check off those as well. We appreciate her friendship and her patience to not hammer me too much for the pronunciation. But as we continue up here, we see what has happened with our friend Angela. She's staying in this group. She's working really, really hard. And I think the secret, and I don't want to give away her secret, I think the secret's the headband.
Yeah.
I mean, it protected her in the fall.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and she's showing us the guns here too. She knows
Fearless.
what she's capable of doing.
Fearless. She's
Smiling
like,
big.
I fell off a trainer because of mechanical error.
That's right.
She's like, I'm a crit racer. That's nothing.
Well, and when she realized that I'd also taken a fall, then she realized she was in good athletic company, high level performance.
That's right. So we've got Fleur off the front right now,
Yep,
and
just a
Answer
hair.
Right with just a hair. They're really grouped up right now, but you've got, you know, Newsom and Torres and Carey and Mann and Kessels.
so many.
So, you know, they're going to be trading for a little bit. So where are they headed next on the course, Chris? What are we going to see?
So we're going to see the business end of this course right now. This is the climb. Now, when you go clockwise, right, the regular way, the forward, as we would call it, it's hard to tell it clockwise because it's so windy. But we have the big protracted climb right at the beginning, and it's all of the pain right up front. However, in this, going this direction, it's a little bit more graduated, and it hits right as we hit here at Hanks. It starts, you even see a line on the road. That's technically where the KOM Jersey competition
So we're
begins.
coming up to under that statue.
Carrie with a push, making sure that she's there. You'll
Yep.
notice her rider kicks out a little bit. That's a mechanic associated with a little bit more power. And they're going to come up to what is the real tough section up there by the statue up at the top as we make this big, pretty sharp right-hander. That is going to be the toughest spot. People can hang in pretty good here, and Hunter will tell us about it here in just a second. People can hang in pretty well here, but this is where it starts to fall apart. Oh, we see one off the back. Fleur is drifting backwards. She's got to fight, and she does fight her way back into this. But they're starting to string out a little bit. They're still kind of clumped together, which makes you feel good if you're a rider in the middle of that group. Someone like Dixie Newsom in that group as well. Someone like Christina, the ODZ rider. You can stay in that group. But Carrie says, I'm going to take over the front here, and that is her jersey. We know those beautiful colors. She's definitely on the front here, and she's pushing past the tree, up past the corner. She's putting down some serious watts right now.
Yes, she is.
Yep.
Over 6 watts per kilogram there.
No kidding.
Yep.
She has a lot to prove today, and she's shown us on 2 consecutive stages. Now, so much happening here. Just a little bit of a hiccup in her data there, but she continues on. Kessel's right behind her. I'll leave the last syllable out that time. Melanie, of course. Dixie Newsom following her as well. Now, if you're checking this out on CycleView, you can see if it finished right now where they would be in the overall points, which is very interesting to see. Gives you a totally different perspective on CycleView, which is, again, at cycleagentrankings.com. Check that out. But what is happening now to these folks? We see the pain on the face of Fleur right now.
Well, so she really fought. As I said, she's a fighter. She really fought on that hill, and so we'll see if she's going to be able to carry this through 2 laps.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is on this one, the hill does sneak up on you, but you have to hit it again, and you hit it again before you come around down the hill to the finish.
Yes.
So there's this little bit of strategy of where you're going to spend it, and but she's strong. She's going to hang on there. We see a little bit of a break there happening.
Yes.
Yanni Johansson and Christina.
No, and it's very, very true. So it's become unhinged a little bit. We're seeing the effects of the first 2 stages, the effects of that hard corner and that big push by Carrie. Again, not something that gets her away from the field, but something
that breaks
breaks that field up.
Yep.
And so we see that chase. Jenny Johansson and Christina Torres off the back there just a little bit. They're together in a chase group. They're trying to stay together. The ODZ rider right there on the front. Christina Torres with Johansson in tow. They're pushing hard. Jessica York trying to cover the distance to get back with that beautiful Zwift Academy
jersey. She is working hard. She is so strong right now. She has been riding stronger and stronger.
Great legs, as they say. Great legs. Now, as we look back to the front of this race, they are back not into the easy part. This is still up. This is still a lot of yellow, a little bit of green, and a lot more yellow. And they're getting ready to get to the top of this piece where they're going to have a big, big descent. It's going to flatten out just a little bit here, and we're going to have a little bit of rest and reprieve. But before we do, Fleur has found herself off the front. Now, again on this flat section, no real gap. I think that these riders are going to pull her back. But we see what's happening, the pain that's happening. Hunter can tell us a little bit more about the action on the course.
Hey, thanks a lot, Chris and Beth. I'm here with Carrie Conabear. She is in the front group. She has been pushing, and she has been really keeping her watts high and also, her heart rate. Right now, she's riding near her threshold. She's been, making sure that the pace has stayed high because that's what, she wants to make sure that the rest of the riders don't catch up. So let's get a quick word with here. How you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing better than I was yesterday. Legs are feeling good. Yeah.
Right. Do you think you can keep this pace up?
Fingers crossed.
All right. So right now, again, from all of these riders, they're riding at or close to their functional threshold power. If they do an attack, it's going to be at their anaerobic capacity, their neuromuscular power. But we've got 10K to go, so it's not going to be something that they're going to do immediately. They're going to save some of their energy. They got to make sure that that is going to be a part of their strategy for the finish because, hey, you want to win the race. The win here isn't whoever gets over this first climb or second climb, but it's a finish line. And so that's what's going to happen. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Wow. And you're not kidding. You talk about that neuromuscular I hope to develop some of that someday, or even buy it if it's out on the open market. But Carrie Conaber, not the most popular rider in the group, but this just in, the Tour de France just called, and they're very interested in Hunter actually riding alongside those athletes with a microphone in his hand to ask Chris Froome, how do you feel about this climb that you're currently on? I think that they're going to take that. We're breaking ground here with the CVR World Cup. We're showing you what it's like to interview a cyclist in pain. And to Carrie's credit, that's grace under fire. That's beautiful.
That smile on, well, that's who she is.
Yes, she is.
That's who she is.
Yep. So forget the kicking puppies thing. She's been forgiven for that. And they hit this descent. They come over the top. Now they get to refresh their power-ups at this point, but it's still a lottery. They could get the big old nothing.
Right. They could. So there are a number of power-ups in the game. There's the feather that lightens you as a rider, so your weight to the watts ratio changes, so you can move faster through the game. There's the one that looks like a van that feels like it's a draft, a little draft boost, which it is another one, and then the arrow. So which one you get, it kind of rotates through when you cross the banner, and it's like a lottery of which one you get. And there's a little secret yes, I got that one.
Right.
So we'll see what they get. Well, we won't see. Well, we'll see, but they won't know what their opponents are getting as they come through. And where they use it. If you get a feather, you're better to, if you need it on the climb, use it on the climb.
Yeah, and there are only a handful of spots that you can get them, so you need to use them before you get another one. We see Liz Rice and Christina Willis coming up over this together. They've joined together now. They're just going to try to survive this and see how they can climb up in the points. You see, they're still competing one with another for some money against some of these other riders. So where they end up in the overall rankings, really important. We'll talk about that in just a little bit and what kind of difference that could make. People continue to chime in and to offer, to contribute to this prize pool by cheering for their folks at CycleView at cycleagentrankings.com. You can check that out on there as well.
So you saw someone just drop one of their power-ups there and to maybe get a new one, so right before the banner?
Right. That's right, and drops that truck because probably that's one of the least effective ones, maybe for that rider to use. The one that you're really aiming for here, if you think that you're going to be in trouble on the climb, you want that feather to close the gap.
Yep.
Or if you think you've got a real advantage to break the group up, you might want the feather as you close the gap. Other riders who think that top speed is more important might really try to hang on to, on this last lap as they come around here, hang on to an arrow helmet and use it for a big sprint, as we saw in the last race.
That's right.
Or perhaps to expand a gap once you get up on the upper flat.
You want to keep that space.
You
want to keep that distance.
No kidding.
Yep.
Very, very cool.
So we got Fleur and Mann and Conaber and Melanie and Dixie. So the names that we've been calling are still in that lead group.
Very impressed with Angela Mann at this point. She had a really rough break in the first one and has managed to not only stay with this group but really rotate herself to the front. She's being very, very thoughtful, very cagey in this. She had a broken broken derailleur hanger. She went down on the concrete. She managed to get herself back in, and she's in this lead group exactly where we would expect her to be back.
That's right. That's right. There are some people who have these courses that they do favor a number of different riders, but she's just a good, strong, all-around rider, and to come back from that shows the spirit of her competitiveness right there.
And we're going to have an opportunity here in just a little bit as we hit that bridge on the backside to maybe jump in with Hunter one more time. And one of the things I'll ask him, and this will be a few minutes from now, one of the things I'll ask him is as you progress further, do certain efforts shorten? So you and I might be able to go up a climb 10 minutes, over our FTP. We'll double our FTP because we're super strong like that.
Right.
With our
Jedi power.
With our Jedi powers, as been well established. But I wonder, as fatigue sets in, does that high-end power, that rocket booster, does it get smaller? But we'll ask him that when we get up to the bridge here. This would be a perfect time before the big kicker or climb to make that happen.
Yeah.
We're seeing some interesting things here, but I think it's a good time to talk about the strategic potential for the finishes here. Again, they're competing against each other, and this is not the final race.
That's right. It's not the final race. So with the points that are distributed, we saw in our previous live race today, the three-stage race, that your finish on the climb does not necessarily dictate your finish overall at the end of three stages.
Very true.
So right now, that getting the 20 points from the top versus 13 for fourth. That's a lot of points.
Yes.
what we're seeing right now on Cycle View for the positioning can drastically be different between the stages.
Boy, it can. And we're seeing this as well. If you're watching on Cycle View right now, which is a great place to watch because you can select the riders you want to see, you can choose to listen to us or not, which those who are not listening to us, that's fine.
They're watching with the sound down.
They're watching. My mother is watching with the sound down right now. She heard that kicking puppies comment, and she's like, oh, honey. So, but you can actually see the effect of their position switch. So as Carrie moved to the front, you see the points jump over. We see it flipping back and forth right now. If Kessels wins this, she takes over the overall lead from Conabear. If Conabear wins this, she expands that lead even further into the next one. It's really interesting to see how these different ones play out.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And so now they're well into their second lap here. Mm-hmm. You can see on the telemetry, and it got three little groups shaping up, and still,
excellent.
Conabear, is up there trading in the front. It looks like she's making a little bit of move right now, and she's so strong. I don't think she's
so strong. Indeed.
I don't know if she's testing or she's just saying, "I'm keeping the power down here, guys. You're
no
coming
kidding.
with me. I want those points more than you, Fleur.
Yep.
I think you're tired. I'm gonna test you here. This is the same place she did it last time.
Yes.
Right,
now Fleur is in the hurt box right now. They're all coming back together. And we've got Antoine down on the course, of course, with Coach. And because Antoine obviously speaks some fantastic French and he's tall and beautiful, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to get him in with Fleur. Now Fleur may not be that interested in talking to him. She's in a race here, but we'll throw down to Coach right now. And it's Melanie. I'm sorry,
yep.
Melanie with him right there, and find out just a little bit more.
Avec Mélanie, pour l'instant ça se passe bien et on est à quelques kilomètres de l'arrivée de cette deuxième étape. Les sensations sont bonnes?
Ouais, ça peut aller.
Alors on s'accroche et on a les conseils à côté du papa et on va viser le podium pour Mélanie. Mélanie qui est actuellement dans le groupe de tête. Elles sont à l'avant pour l'instant 4. Bon courage Mélanie, à tout à l'heure.
Well, thank you so much. So let us offer you a little bit of translation here. He asked her a really important question about, how much power do you think you have left? When do you think you're going to put it in there? She gave some very detailed response, which I think you can hear untranslated was something to the effect of, right? Which was
universal.
Universal. We don't need a translator for that. We appreciate him being here. He adds so much class to everything that we do. I'm going to actually try to get him to take over my social media because I think that it'll improve how I do on that. Now, as we gear up for the bigger section here, we come by the waterfall. We are just moments away from what we think are the fireworks. Now, you can wait until the fireworks start and then pull out your mortars and say, I've got blue, you've got red. Or you can pull out the big guns right now, no sparklers, and say, look at these. I've got some skyrockets and I'm going to use them right now. What's the advantage here? Do you wait until this thing blows up? Or do you, maybe like Angela Mann, decide now's when I'm going to go and see if I can blow this thing up?
Well, some people are stronger on the flats with their pure power,
yep.
And so I think that if I were an Angela Mann or if I were one of those riders, I'd be trying to make a little bit of separation now because some of those lighter riders are going to really maybe get a little bit, try to hit me on the hills where their strengths are. So. If we'll see what they decide to do or what they have left to do.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're sitting there and you're like, I know I should be doing this now, but I can't or I don't want to. But when we get to the hill, that's kind of it on this stage, though. If you get that separation on the hill, you keep the hammer down the hill and right to the finish line. So if there's any chance of getting away, take it now where you have a little bit of flat before you get to it and see if you can stretch it out.
Yes, and Lovery, who we just had a chance to speak with, fighting to get back onto the back of that group. That is a dangerous spot. I wonder if it's going to come back to haunt her a little bit later. She's found herself off the back just enough that she had to pull herself back into that draft and that slipstream. Conabear not making it any easier for these folks throwing back. Now, Angela doing a nice job of staying just right in that sweet spot. She is a crit racer extraordinaire, so we can expect her to understand the strategy of when you use your energy. As we know, you can't ride away in a high-level crit, right? Everyone can pull you back. So it's when you use your energy, when strategically you attack that makes it so interesting because it typically is a flat course. Now they're getting close to Hanks here. What can they expect as they start past the Hank store here across that line?
Well, once they get across that line, they're going to hit a corner, and they're going to come under the statue. When they get that is when it really gets steep. You feel on the trainer, you feel the grade hit your trainer, and you have to really, punch it up. So that's where we've been seeing on this course, where we've been seeing the moves, we've been seeing who has what power left. And this is the last one of this stage.
Yes,
but remember,
it is.
these riders they have to remember to leave something
Yes.
for the end. So they're doing two things. They're balancing, how am I going to get my position now? How am I going to, try to break away on this
Yes.
hill? And save enough
No kidding.
for the crit.
Right, they need their points.
Because the person who might pull away on the hill here might not be as strong on the crit because of the weight differential and the amount of power that they can
No
do. Because
kidding.
the crit really favors the watt masher. So
And they are all there together. Now, as we look down the line here in the velodrome right now, we see a dramatic change in body language. You've got people like Melanie out of her saddle. You've got Angela crunching over her bars, gripping those things tight. I am glad I'm not her bars. I'd be dead now. Now, you see the body language changing as they're coming up and around this corner. We see that truck drop to say, I can't be off the back here. Angela on the front, Carrie coming around. Maybe there's an opportunity for a little coalition here to get her off the front. Angela would love to be in between her and Melanie, definitely up there at the front. Definitely pushing those points back, but no one is getting away here.
This is a fist fight. Everyone is answering.
Yeah, Melanie doesn't know what's going on course. Her head is down. She doesn't care. She knows what she can do. She knows how long she has to do it. And to your point, as they're coming under these statues, this is where the fireworks are at. Unbelievable. So as they come around this corner, it's going to ease just a little bit. And the people who have the freshest legs are going to be able to spin up and get that speed going even more. Fleur back there as well. She is on the front right now. She's really digging on the front, and she's not getting very far because Melanie right behind her, Angela right behind her, Dixie and Carrie all in this group. No one is getting away. We're seeing the gap grow bigger to Jenny and, of course, Christina Torres. But Angela definitely staying out of the saddle this time. She's getting serious, making sure that she stays right there. But Carrie, unbelievable dictating, showing that what we saw yesterday is not an indication of who she is as a rider or as a competitor. She seems to be the one who is instigating all of the trouble today.
Yeah, she is really dictating the pace. She's really kind of pushing the other riders, and that's her saying, okay, guys, no, this is mine, and I'm going to take it. And the other riders too, they want it just as bad. The Newsom and Melanie, and she's got the coach over her ear, kind of telling her. So she got that head down, and yet Johansson's coming here chasing up. But they are all in this battle, and anything can happen.
That's right. And it's a good point. Yeah, I just saw this. The office aide just came in and handed Conabare a principal's note. She's got to go down to the office after this because she has been implicated in some trouble on campus here today. She's definitely going to get detention for all the trouble she's caused. She's still connected with this group, trying to stay connected and making sure that she's in a position, and no surprise at all, 200 plus watts with a little ace up her sleeve. Still, she's right back to the front where she wants to be. Angela Mann, Fleur Kessel's being very clever about how they stay connected to this group. But I would argue that Fleur is maybe in a little spot of trouble here. Her heart rate is spiked over the last little bit. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to hold on. She definitely was able to put in that solid power over time into the previous race, but does she have it over time in this? And who's the better sprinter? When we come down to it, if you take these four riders, Melanie Laborie unhinged. We saw her getting head down really tough. She's been out of the saddle longer than anybody else. That definitely takes a toll on your legs. She's now 7 seconds back at this main group. But as we gear up for this big sprint finish, 4 riders remaining. Who's our sprinter?
Well, I think Dixie's going to come in pretty strong. I think that Angela is going to lay down some power there.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you to make a prediction here. If it comes down to a sprint finish, Dixie or Angela, those are your two choices.
I've got my money on Angela.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Very good. Very good. Angela likes the smile. She hears us here in the studio. And
it's a tough call, though. I know that Newsom. I saw her ride yesterday.
Newsom is mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we see.
She won't sit next to me later.
No, she won't. No, she won't. Dixie staying connected to this group. They are going to come up and over this hill. So much of what happens here will be in the clever and strategic use of their power-ups that they have. That is the one benefit of this version version of esport. Ooh, we have a big dig on the outside, starting to see some separation. My mistake, they come back. Everybody got excited. Oh my goodness,
you see that banner, and then,
yeah, no kidding.
and then, but you know, if you get like right through the banner and other people are still climbing, and you keep that pedal down the hill,
Yep.
you know, you can start to stretch that out. If you're
Yes,
generating
you
more
can.
power than the person behind you,
Yep.
your speed starts to increase. So
It
you
does.
start to get a chance and to get away maybe.
Ride-ons falling
Yep.
all over
and
the
if you're not a
place.
good sprinter and you can come over the top just 4 or 5 seconds and create that gap on this downhill and hold it, then less is going to be required of you in the sprint.
And the fans are excited. They're contributing to the prize pool with their cheers for these different folks. To Christina Torres, Ryan Goldenberg also cheering right now for Tim Fulford, who's going to race here in just a moment. Also, Goldenberg is throwing out another cheer for Justin Purificati.
Oh, and it looks like Fleur just took a little bit.
Big push by Angela Mann here. She's on the front. Very,
Angela,
very
excuse
cagey
me.
move. She's not going to get away on this, but she is going to cause the other racers to do a little bit more work. She also realizes that strategically she may need that advantage if she's going to have a chance to pull away. She may be the stronger one here. I don't see Conabear in this lineup.
Yeah, she's at the top.
Oh, she's at the front right there.
Kessels, Conabear, Mann,
Very
and
cool.
Flessel. Yep, they're just the 3 of them.
Little bit of a gap, Fleur, with that just slight gap now. Just drilling it here. Love to see what Fleur sees as well. When we look in the rider's view, we see not only their suffering, but what the world looks like around them. And she is definitely off the front at this point. The stats do not lie. She's right there.
6.8, 6.3.
No kidding. She's gone way early, but this gap is closing fast with Angela Mann on the front. She thinks she can pull her back, and she thinks she's got the power to do it. This is the big race right here as we come to the big finish. Will Fleur's move pay off, or is it too little, too late? She's not going to be able to get away. Angela out of the saddle, digging now. She's going to try to pull her back. She's closing the distance. She's doing more watts than Fleur. Fleur is fading. Dixie and Carrie fighting. They're going to come into this big finish as we watch Fleur. We expect to see these other riders any moment, but the banner is coming. Who's going to win? No, it's Carrie. Comes around over the top. Angela right over the top. Boom, boom, boom. We see an unbelievable finish. Carrie biding her time, dropping that unbelievable power right when she needed to. Fleur said, this is all I've got. I've got to go early. And sometimes it pays off. It pays off with Sanchez in the Olympics. It paid off with Vinokurov in the Olympics. That did not pay off today, but it is no less a heroic gamble for Fleur to say, I know it's early, ladies, but now is my time.
Well, you know, that is calculation. She knows what she had. She knew what she could hold to the end.
My
and
goodness.
you know, I don't think I would have expected that sprint from Carrie, because I earlier said my money was on Mann, and then Carrie out of the blue, and that can happen sometimes from behind you, from a rider back. You know, you think like, oh, I've got 2 or 3 seconds or whatever,
Right.
and then at that line, you know, someone just blasts up out of nowhere, seemingly, because you haven't anticipated that coming, and you don't have a time to respond.
And Carrie Conabear again with another statement has said, what you saw yesterday was not who I am. She found herself in a gap. She had to close that gap against a big group that was really cooking.
Yep.
And she found herself the victim of a gap with no one else to close it. Now, I know what that's like. I've been in a group
me too.
before.
Oh my gosh.
And you look around and you go, oh my gosh, this isn't the chase group. I'm the strongest rider. And that's a scary feeling if you're in the gap.
Yep.
It's a really powerful feeling if you're in the group. Okay, so we know that we've got Carrie in first place, Dixie second place, and Fleur in that third spot. Excellent, excellent stuff.
That
now,
was a great, great finish.
no kidding. And here's where it shows in our stats right here. If you're checking it out on cycleview.cycleagentrankings.com, and by the way, that just rolls off the tongue, you'll see what we see, which is clearly in that comfortable point total, 2 stage wins in a row. Carrie Conabear.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, she is making a statement. And Fleur, as I said, heart, strength,
No
fierce,
kidding.
you know, just fearless and fighting. And I've watched Fleur in the game, in Zwift,
Yes.
actually really sort of progress as a rider, doing a lot of the workouts, doing a lot of the group rides.
Yeah.
Just she's a worker. She
Oh,
is an
she's a
absolute
worker.
worker. And and then Dixie, Newsome, who's a little new to the format.
Yeah.
So sometimes that advantage of in game, power for power, they might be.
No kidding.
They're very well matched riders.
They are.
But that little bit of advantage of knowing the game.
And so Fleur now has been very, very near that podium top spot a couple of times. Hunter is standing by with her right now just to get a little bit of a perspective. Hunter, how's it going down there?
Oh, well, what an exciting finish. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. Fleur did that attack right at the end with a little bit more than a K to go. She had 6 seconds at the maximum there. Fleur, tell us a little bit about your attack. What was your strategy there? How did it go?
I thought I'd go for the gutsy one, given that I didn't feel like I was up to a sprint for that one particularly. But it didn't work out too great, to be honest. But yeah, not sure. I regretted it. With 700 meters to go, I regretted it, but it was fun.
Well, I mean, that was, when you if you don't have a sprint, I mean, maybe your sprint isn't as great, or maybe you don't fancy your sprint, then you got to attack before the end, and that's what you did. I mean, you made that attack. It was a gutsy move. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Indeed. So this time it wasn't up to par, but perhaps there's always the next time. So.
Right. Now you got second in the hill climb. You got third in this one. What's your strategy for the criterium?
Get first. That'd be best, I guess.
How are you gonna do that?
Best not to reveal it yet.
All right. So she's not going to give away her strategy, which I totally understand. All the other ladies are right down here, but an incredible finish. What an awesome attack. I love to see those attacks right at the very end. Unfortunately, didn't work, but at the same time, she was third. That gives her the points, and that gives her the advantage, towards overall consistency towards the end. So let's see what happens in the criterium. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So we just had a finish by Liz Rice.
Exciting
a
finish.
little bit. We could watch while you were doing the interview. Liz and Torres kind of, volleying a little bit. That, yeah,
it was awesome.
It was really great, really great. Nice work, Liz.
No
Way to
kidding.
fight, and Christina Torres as well. Nice work right to the end.
Yep, and Willis and Rice right there at the end, and back and forth as they descended the hill. They got down onto the flat into the bridge area right there, and it was Rice who came around just at the end. It looked like Willis was going to actually have that finishing up right now here. Jessica York just a little bit behind, and you can follow that too on the cycle view. And you can also cheer for your favorite riders there as well. We'll give out a couple of these cheers. Carrie Conaber from Anonymous. And by the way, I just want to point out, if you are such an amazing writer, that Anonymous, the well-known poet and scholar, Anonymous, my favorite poetry in the world is by
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Okay, I didn't know if it was
Absolutely.
by that other group,
Yes.
Anonymous.
No. Love it. But if Anonymous is willing to contribute to this prize pool, it goes up and up and up. So as we take a peek at this prize pool, I want to take a look at how close we're growing to this $1,000 position. The winner of this race right now, if the numbers don't change, and we know that they're going to change, will be
$947.
$947. That is not bad for a day's work of sweat.
Not at all.
Yep.
And and then the going down to the 10th place in this race, almost 900.
Yeah, almost 900.
So what's really kind of fascinating about this prize pool is that it's not heavily weighted at the top.
Yes.
You are here at CVR World Cup for a reason. You are matched with riders, and you have earned your spot here,
Yes.
and you are vying for that prize pool, and everyone's contributing to it. It's really, those points as we go down here, we've got Conaber, Kessels, and Newsome at the top, but you know that Melanie and Johansson and Angela Mann, they have room there to kind of jockey the positions a little bit, maybe in this last stage.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And there is an opportunity. So as we break down this, what we have is Carrie Conaber in the top spot, right? 40 points total with a stage to go. And that stage is going to start in just a few minutes.
Yep.
You're going to see this here. They're all actively trying to recover. Fleur Kessels, 29 points. She would have loved to have that point differential against her competitor here. But the gap grows because Carrie got even more points this time. 20 for the top position in this one, and because Floor came in third in this one, down to 13 because Dixie Newsom took that spot. So Dixie now is knocking at the door of Floor with 27 points and can jump Kessel's 29.
That's right.
So not far after that, you have Laborie. She did an amazing, heroic effort to stay on that group, well documented. We had Antoine put the mic in her face and get that unforgettable, and you can quote this, I'm going to put it on my Twitter in just a moment, right? Which we understand what that means. And the rest of that group, as it cascades down, are vying for these other spots. So it's not just the race that we're seeing now.
That's right. It's the one that's coming up.
It's the one that's coming up, right? And it's not just the position that they're potentially in now. Carrie may run away with this, or she may not. Right? We saw what happened yesterday, not to tease it out there and to say, well, hold on before you get too serious about it. She found herself off the back of a group, which I don't think she's going to allow today.
No, she's not going to let that happen today. No. I don't believe that she is. What I am curious, I'm going to ask you your prediction. Because you've been asking my predictions.
Oh, man.
And I think I have a 50-50. I'm either right half the time. We can flip a coin on my predictions, but I'm going to take yours to the bank.
Oh.
What are we going to see? Do you think we're going to see in this crit from these racers?
Well, we don't have really any teammates unless you take into consideration the continental, the country teammates, right? But I don't think there's been a lot of discussion about that. We saw a team effort in the previous race. I don't think we're going to see that in this one. So I don't think that attacks will come fast and furious for people trying to break up the group, unless there's somebody who really believes that Angela, can do this. I don't think that Carrie is going to. She's too much of a competitor to say, yeah, fourth is good enough. I think she wants to win all three. She wants to be the Michael Jordan of this performance bracket.
Do the hat trick here, yeah.
Absolutely. She wants all three. I don't think she's going to be able to do it. So my prediction is she's not going to be able to do it.
Who's going to do it?
I think Angela Mann's going to do it. And for a couple of reasons. She recovered from her crash and the broken derailleur. She put herself in a great position to always be connected to this group under conditions that are not her favorite, right? As a super strong crit racer, these hills were tough. Right? But she stayed right in there. I think she's, to your prediction, I think Angela Mann, not just because she's the sentimental favorite now because of all we've seen her go through, but she and I share that crash thing. And I think that she, but truly, in this flat crit course is the strongest on. So, but I'll ask you, where are the moments that we could see this thing fall apart?
So there are a couple places on that volcano that that riders can break apart. This is a volcano in clockwise position. So halfway around, you come up that sort of S turn, a little bit of a riser there. Sometimes you can get some separation there, and that can happen. And then the flats, I think that they might come back together. But if someone can take advantage of those, just two little risers, it's not enough. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's just like a little bit of a puncher. But if you can just anticipate it coming and drop it and see if you can get a little bit of separation.
And if you're dangling off the back, if there's any kind of gap and the group surges and that gap grows to 3 seconds, after more than an hour of racing, it is like
3 seconds after an hour of racing feels like 20 seconds when you're fresh.
It feels like just a ton. So this is something that is going to be really exciting to see as we move forward here. And we're almost ready to go, dropping into the pen with 30 seconds to go. I think that we're going to see something similar that we've seen all day so far, which is this element where we see the gate drop, people go out crazy. I don't think we have to panic at the start of this. I think we can have
a more civilized
discussion. This is not where the race is run, and these racers are tired. Unless someone's got like a canister of NOS that they haven't even triggered yet, I don't think we're going to see it.
Right.
So, but this is also a point where we see folks like Torres want to stay tight in that group. She's like, this is better for my course. We see it back here also, making sure that these riders are doing a good job to stay in the front. But Jessica York, not far from us here, doing a nice job of staying in the group as well. Wants to stay connected to what's going on. Torres, the ODZ rider, in that group as well. Making sure, it is stringing out a little bit, but this tends to be that panic string. I don't think we're going to see any of these.
I think we go into the tubes and it's tightened back up a little bit.
Right.
Yep.
It's just that panic reaction at the start of these races. And this is what is lacking, I think, from other types of races that we often see in the virtual world, which is this multi-stage the race isn't determined within the first 60 seconds kind of philosophy.
Right.
And many of those are. Honestly, if you're in a KISS race, for example, when the gate drops, if you don't make that lead selection, you can't recover that.
Right.
You can
dropped
only,
forever.
you can only hope to pick off shed riders. So you know within the first few minutes, are you in the top 10 or are you probably somewhere between 20 and 13?
Right.
How many people you can pull back. But in a race like this, it's more civilized, it's more measured. Honestly, it's much more strategic. So as we come up through this a little bit tough section, this is kind of weighing on the legs kind of heavy. And just a quick question for our guy. We would definitely want to get Hunter in on this question. Love to know more about the effects of lactic acid on the legs at this point. It's long, it's been a lot of start-stop, it's been a lot of go easy. Maybe some of these riders were diligent and tried to flush out this lactate. Not sure how that's all going, but in a moment here we'll ask Hunter exactly
Yeah,
that.
I'm always wondering about that, so like how you train that lactic burn, right? You
Yes.
train that in.
Okay, so we'll go to Hunter now, find a little bit more about how the lactic acid is affecting these riders at the front of this race.
Well, that's a great question because what's happening right now is, first off, they built up a lot of this lactate in their blood. Those were two huge efforts. The mountain climb, they're constantly building that up. And then afterwards, they recover a little bit between each one. That lactate comes down. You can think of it like a bathtub, right? Everybody has a bathtub, and the water fills up in the bathtub, and that's the lactate in the blood. And that lactate builds up and up and up, and then it falls over the edge of the bathroom, the bathtub walls and into the floor. That's when the athlete blows up, right? So you want to prevent that from happening. But in that rest time, that's when that water drains out. So you have the second race. They had heart attacks. They had really tough efforts. That lactate built back up, and then it comes down and back up and comes down. So those are really, really tough situations. Now, you only have so much of that your body can handle, because then eventually all of the energy sources are tapped out. That glycogen stores are used. Yesterday we had some riders even getting some cramps in some of the rides. So when riders are getting cramps, they're having a tough time. Here we have this criterium. It's going to be a lot of these microbursts. I talked about these a little bit earlier. They're on and off. They're using what we call the neuromuscular power. Hard effort and then recover. Hard effort and then recover. That is something that they haven't had to do quite so much in this first two races. So that's what's been exciting about these three stages, is that you all of a sudden are challenging each of the physiology systems. That way you got it to finish and finish strong. Thanks
Awesome.
a lot, and back to you guys.
Oh my gosh, thank you very much, Hunter. That really helps a lot. And we're seeing exactly what you described here in this group. And we can see it on the faces. With someone like Laborie, definitely putting her head down. She's such a hard worker, but you can see that this is really, really difficult. A different level of athletic performance. We've got to jump off the front here. That is really exciting to see. And who else would it be but Angela Mann? That's awesome. Really digging it on the front here. Wow, what hard work. Yeah, she's going here, and she's inside the caldera here, coming up to this big banner, a big push right here as we come to this first
creating a
big
little bit
section.
of space on the first lap here.
That's
creating
right.
a little space. Now the draft effect is 10 meters. Is that correct?
It can be up to 10 meters. Really, a sweet spot is 5.
So we can see that we've got a few riders 27 meters back.
Right.
So
they're not getting any help.
No.
Boy, she got a new one as she came through here. She dropped it at a great time. Very strategic. You'll notice as her aero helmet expires. Unfortunately, she got that plus 10. She got that dreaded whammy in the cycle there. Now it's not her last time through this section, but it definitely is gonna affect the way she does it. Now she may ease up here a little bit. Conabear is not going to let her get off the front here. This big collection of folks doing everything they can to stay on the front. Conabear now rotates to the front here. You'll notice that she has also taken on a jersey change. We saw this in the last race as well. What jersey is that?
So that is she's got the fastest time in the lap. So So
Specifically,
the hilly reverse.
The hilly lap.
Yes, the hilly lap. So she will keep that in game for an hour, or unless someone beats that time that she just laid down. So I'm not surprised that she had that. Looks like Fleur has the mountain on that climb. There's a couple KOM sections on one KOM section on that.
Yep, and Fleur does have it. In fact, yes, she was the fastest up that climb.
Jerseys that change. So if you're unfamiliar with the game, you're like, wait, where did these orange jersey? I didn't see that before.
Right,
Who's this polka dots?
Well, think about it this way: it's like the yellow jersey on course here.
Yep, yep.
Oh, so great. And the polka dot jersey, very similar to cycling, but they're granted at the time that the rider earns them, and they wear them until they lose them. Very, very clever design by the folks at Zwift here. And as you look in the upper right-hand corner, you see their position on the map, and we're about to come up to really the only climbing section in this piece.
That's right. And we'll see what happens here. You know, we've got a little over, almost a little under 2 laps to go.
Yep.
And this would be one of the places where you might want to make some changes here.
Yep.
If you want to try to break up that group or test the legs of your competitor.
Right.
You know, see what you've got. Sometimes you're just testing your own legs. You're like, yep, nope, yep.
I got it. I don't got it.
Right.
Most of the time, my answer is the negative, but these riders might actually get the affirmative here. And they are still a pretty big group as they get ready to make this corner. But as you see, Angela has jumped off the front of this group, and she is definitely pushing to try to see what she can do. Her watt's not killer high, but she's still off the front working, making those girls chase her back, which is just not nice. Maybe she took a page from Conabear's Kicking Puppies book, but now Angela Mann is kicking kittens. And we have to say, that's just not nice.
Well, there's a little bit of strategy there, too, so she knows what she has left. So she knows, is anyone going to come with her?
Right.
And that tells her something.
Ooh,
if no one's coming with her, that tells her something. So she could easily, depending on what her gap is, she could easily, let them come back, use their gap, and be able to power them when they're least expecting it on another lap.
Right, and Zwift, as the top tool for virtual cycling right now, gives us data that the other riders can see. They've kind of let her have this moment here, although she is no longer on the front of this race. Angela Mann finds another one up there. Kessel's Fleur up there, not allowing this to get away from her. Really, really nice. But we see these multiple groups on the course here trying to figure out, and it's Fleur with the mountain jersey and Angela Mann just behind her as they come back together. This is an opportunity for them to create something special. This is a nightmare for someone like Carrie Conabear, who sees this gap opening and has to spend energy to pull it back. This is something that could threaten the potential of her, first of all, getting all three of these stages.
That's right.
The hat trick can't happen for her if she lets these two go. Dropping these different pieces, didn't see who that was, but Carrie definitely pulling those two back. It looks like it might have been her pulling them back. Yes, it is her aero boost. Now we see it still expiring, but she doesn't just power on, she powers through.
Yeah.
She's going to use all of this advantage.
Don't count me out.
She does not like it when we call her name in the negative. She is a very savvy rider and wasn't about to let that happen. Her biggest rival on course right now is Fleur, doing a great job, of course, off the front. Now, they're right there behind her. Kessel's in the lead right now. Mann, they can see her. She's not getting away. But they've got to match that power at least. They've got to look at those watts per kilo.
Yep.
And they've got to match that power to maintain a relative equal speed.
That's right. That's right. And Conabear, looks like Conabear's back at the front now.
Yeah, well, Conabear has actually moved off the front. She is in, she's gapped it just a little bit here. And wow, she's going so fast, the wind is blowing so hard even in here for her, doing a great job. She kind of has her suffer zone. She knows right where to go. She's a very slight rider, so there are probably some absolute water buffalo rider men out there going 175. I could, I do that with one leg, with only one toe.
She might be like 53 kilograms, 54 kilograms.
Right.
She's a light.
And those dudes are up in the 90s and 100 kilograms.
That's right.
People are like
Ask
pulling
them if
out
he's
their
pulling,
Google.
350.
That's right. I apologize to the American viewers. We're speaking that foreign language again called the metric system, but it's endemic to cycling. So jump in, learn some metric, people.
That's right.
Well, why can't you just say it in miles, Chris? Because I can't think in both languages at once. As you heard, I can listen to French and translate.
That you can.
Yeah.
It was remarkable
Well
to hear you do that. It's like you
established
have a preloaded app in your brain.
Yes, I have a number of preloaded apps in my brain, just not a very fast processor. Okay, so we're getting into the comfortable, uncomfortable part of this race. We're seeing people just kind of reserved to see what they've got left. We saw Fleur with a big gutsy move early to come back. Christina Torres, the ODZ rider, a little bit further off the back there, but definitely leading her and Willis again. They know each other really well because they are competing for the same spots in this group. Very curious to see who will get that top spot.
And as we said earlier, though, all of these riders are, they're like mini races within the race, right?
Yes.
Because those positions, those points matter throughout the
Yes,
prize
they do.
pool. So we might be seeing movement between spaces 1, 2, 3, but we're also seeing spaces between 6, 7, 8.
Yes, we are. We're coming up under the banner here. We can see the laps to go very clearly right there as they come up and under the banner. We're going to see one of those tick down, and this is the big business that's happening right here. We've come under this one other time. Whenever you see that confetti, of course, it means something special has happened for one of these riders.
That's right. Someone has set a new PR.
PR.
So every time you see that, and it looks like it's Conabear they got it, or was it Newsom? Maybe
hard to tell at this point. The folks at home and on social media, of course, will tell us all about it and tell us all the things that we did wrong and all the things we mispronounced. Thank you, social media, for allowing us to feel a little bit worse about ourselves today. No, but we see Conabear still continuing to drill it. Angela Mann saying, look, I had a rough go in the first one, and I really want to win this. I want to prove Chris right. I want to show him that I know that he believes in me, and I'm not going to let him down. We're also very seriously going to consider giving away that sweaty sweatband that she's wearing on her head to the first rider who logs in and joins us here in the studio today. So she's smiling, sort of. She's glistening a ton. She's a beautiful rider. Oh,
that's
big
right.
smile.
She will not disappoint.
You
she will
see why she is so popular in the community.
You do.
So true. We're going to jump down to Hunter, who's got a moment with Angela, kind of sitting in here as they're trying to pull back Conabear in this lead group. How are things going with Angela?
All right. Well, we are down here. Angela is looking good. She's got a great attitude. She's smiling. She's feeling good. Tell us a little bit about the race and what your strategy is.
You say I'm feeling good. My goal is to get last so the rest of them can slow down a bit. So.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think you're gonna go for it. How are you feeling? Really? Are you feeling strong? How are you feeling?
I'd say so. That's the best I can do today. So.
Right. I mean, you're struggling. I mean, this bike doesn't really fit you. You got a long stem. I mean, you're really dealing with a lot of adversity today, especially with, having a crash. So keep up the good work. You've got a lot of crowd. Got a lot of people looking forward to you doing well. So keep up the good work. She is struggling, but at the same time feeling decently strong. And I think she's holding some of the cards a little close to her chest, so she doesn't want to tell what the strategy is. But I think I'm with you, Chris. I think she's going to do well.
I agree.
And
she's such a strong rider.
She is, and we're back on that course where things can happen with a little bit of a riser here before you come back into the volcano. And we do see some separation happening there. We've got Conabear.
It's a 5-second gap right now, which is not a huge gap, right? Fleur, Melanie, Dixie, Angela, Liz, all there still together chasing our leader, Carrie Conabear. Carrie grabbing some water. She knows that the big tough section, but really the time becomes now. And if Melanie is in there, she's got an opportunity to help Fleur catch on to that leader and not let her have all the points. Melanie's still fighting for a great spot herself. Definitely wants to beat Dixie, who's just ahead of her in the overall standings. But this is an opportunity. Ooh, Fleur decides to go off on her own. She's going to take it into her own hands and doesn't want to let anyone else get up there with her. We're seeing the strongest riders move to the front, and those big moves right now are responsible for all of the action that we get to see here today. Very, very cool. So as we come up, we're getting ready for some big finishing here. We can see people out of the saddle. The cadences are rising. Heart rates are rising. They know what's coming up. This isn't the final sprint, but we can see it from here, can't we?
Yeah, we can start to see that it building. We can really see sort of those power, where people are just jockeying for position here. They're like, I am not going to be left behind. I'm going to anticipate your move. I'm not going to delay. If I see you drop some power, I'm going to match that or beat it.
Yep.
we've got
Fleur in there as well. Christina
Yep.
Willis, still in that group. She's managing to hang in there with Torres, the ODZ rider, doing a nice job sticking that kind of together. They are still competing with one another, and it's definitely something we have to pay close attention to. I think we've picked up another rider who may not be on course. That actually might be Jenny. Well, no, I take that back. Johansson is just off the tail end of that lead group. Carrie Conabear now growing that gap to 6 seconds, drops back down to 5 briefly, but she's definitely holding that gap.
She's got 3.6, 3.7. She is not.
She's picking it up.
Yeah, she had done 4.0. She is realizing that she has that gap. She's
Yep.
taking a look at what she has to go in terms of distance, and she's making a calculation right now. She's
Yes, she
saying,
is.
she's saying, all right, can I open this up a little bit? I
Yep.
can see that the other racers are a little lower power, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. If I can be 3.7 or above and maintain that gap,
Yes.
that's what she's got to do.
And this is the game, and it is now or never for this group behind it. They've got to put somebody on the front who says, I'm going to do 4.5 watts per kilo until I can't do it anymore. There's only one chance to break up this three-peat right here, this hat trick as you described it, and that is to line these ladies out. They're all going to be pretty similar in the money, but they've got to line these ladies out and say, we are going to burn this like stages of a rocket, sisters. She is not going to show us up like this today. But Carrie Conabear says, I'm not taking that. They're coming into the final stretches of this race. They're going to step back inside here into the caldera, and then it's all but the finish to decide what's going to happen. They've got to push hard to the front, and nobody seems to want to do it.
Nobody is making no one is doing the work, so everyone must be really tired.
Really tired.
Because
Dixie.
usually when you're the one off the front with those
Yes.
coming behind you, they catch you.
Dixie from the tail gun position kicks it up to 6 watts per kilo. That is a high number if you don't understand those things. Respect it when you see it. Also, Angela's 4.5 plus. Carrie dipping just a little bit, but right around 4, showing the world-class watts that she has. What could have been if she could have just finished a little higher in that race yesterday? Would she have done some spectacular things in the high race? It doesn't matter. It is a statement. Not only is she not letting those riders pull her back, but she is expanding that gap. She can see it here at the end, coming through the big finish right here, coming under this big old honking banner. They are coming around. This is the one lap to go. This is all that there is left. Carrie just drilling it on the front. One little surprise in her pocket still, but man is chasing as hard as she possibly can. She knows that this is the opportunity to make it up. That gap still hovering around 13 seconds, maybe dropping just a little bit. Man looks around, Fleur on her tail. Kessels is that rider on her tail. These women coming with her, but they have got to start working together, or she is going to walk away with this.
That's right. Now in this group, when you're that tired and you're like, who's going to do the work? Who's going to go with me?
Right.
Am I going to just work really hard, and is everyone else just going to benefit from my draft and then crush me in the sprint? That's what's going through your mind.
It's a very strategic decision, but it's not a very popular decision in the peloton. You want people that are going to work with you. Angela says, I can't wait for you sisters to do this. Here's the way you do it. You pull hard at the front. You ease a half a watt, and whoever can take the next pull jumps around and does it. You've got to keep that high watt person breaking the wind. That's how you pull a group back like this. You can't just allow yourself to drift to the front. Now, the weaker riders in this who know that they're going to get dropped if they put out too much energy are reluctant to go to the front. Now, the riders in the group would prefer that they just drop off the back.
That's right.
I always suggest that maybe just hang in for a moment. Say, give me one pull, just give me one pull off, and let me see if I can recover. You just plead with them a little bit that you're willing to do the work. If you can just have a moment when you're at that breaking point, and we all know that breaking point really well, it's just crazy what could happen. But this gap is not shrinking. Carrie Conabear is still
impressive.
holding.
This is an impressive effort. Now, we talk about when people come around a sprint and they do these massive efforts.
Yes.
But a solo rider off the front being chased by 5 people holding that lead is impressive.
Yes. And those girls have got to organize if they're going to catch this.
I mean, I've been that rider off the front, and I've spent my money, and the chase group gets me.
Yes.
And so that is a bold move.
Now,
So
Angelo knows all about how to pull back a lead like this. She just needs a couple of willing compatriots here to
Looks
do
like
the
Fleur
work.
might help her. This is a spot to do it. This
Yep.
little riser right here. Like,
We
what do
did
you have left? Dig in.
Yeah, we did see just a little bit of a gap. Carrie did not transition to a higher speed as we would expect. The fatigue on her legs, her wind still in balance here, but probably at this point, unless there's a dramatic turn where all 5 of these riders pass her, probably not a change in the overall standings. She's not about to let that happen, but they've got designs.
Leaving nothing to chance.
Nothing to chance. She is drilling it. That drops to 11 seconds now. This group is actually rallying, but they've got to keep that 4.0 watts plus on the front of this group. They can't let it drop to a 3.0 lead, not even for 2 seconds. They've got to drill, drill, drill. And if you're part of this chase group, you've got to ask yourself, do I care as much about 20 bucks as I do about breaking up this beautiful story? Because it's the one that's going to be told forever, and it gets decided right now. Which story will we tell until the next CVR World Cup? Will it be how Carrie managed to get away from the group and drill it
do we have a
with
little
no
break there?
chance?
Did we
Little
see?
bit of a break.
Yeah.
Or is the story we're going to tell that she got away, but this group of 5 heroic riders sacrificed themselves to not allow her to have that three-peat hat trick victory? The next few kilometers will decide it. We see Dixie now saying, I'm willing to do my turn on the front. Angela Mann says, thank you very much. Fleur comes around the outside, says, I'll turn a turn at the front. And we see that gap continuing to drop. We see those orange comments coming in on the side there.
Yeah, we're getting some like go, go, go.
Absolutely. They want this group to pull her back, and so does this group in the facility here. People cheering, standing next to these riders saying, more, more, more. Allez, allez. And it's happening. Angela says, I'm strong. I'll take this turn. But they've got to get right into her slipstream so they're not wasting energy trying to catch her wheel. She's not trying to break away. She needs this train to pull her back to the front. But they're all taking turns at the front. Liz, Fleur, Melanie, Dixie, and of course Angela now here on the front doing all of their work. That gap still holding, Carrie still suffering, but her overall watts per kilo dropping over time from over 4 to somewhere down around 3.4. She is starting to see the effects, and when we look at her rider screen, we see it in her face. Grace under fire? Sure, but we can see those cracks starting, and we want to know, is this group going to pull her back?
You know, I mean, we've got probably just a little over half a kilometer left in this race. So for Carrie to cross that finish line, if I'm doing the math right, I need to take my shoes up and count my toes.
I think we're about at 1K, but I think you're closer than I am.
I'm close. Well, we're inside that critical.
That's now or never.
Yep.
She puts her head down. She digs in even harder.
Look at those watts. Look at those watts. You know, like a 53-kilogram rider busting 250.
No
like
kidding.
That is power there.
That is such power. You can see
4.5 watts
even
per
her
kilogram.
legs moving. You can see the striations on the top of her muscles as she just exerts herself, giving everything she can. She knows how much
She's
space.
increased it. She's like 15. Take this. She's like, there is no doubt in my mind. I've only got a little bit left. I'm coming inside.
Yep.
I'm gonna pretty soon. I'm gonna see that archway, and
she does right in there in the caldera.
Yeah, here she comes.
Out of her
that
saddle.
Corner. She's like, I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to finish it with authority. Good job, Carrie, all the way through. And one of the guys stayed in the back. They're like, well, we did our best, or did we? You know, we've got some power kicking up there, but she takes it all the way in. Look at her. She's looking strong. 294 watts. You know, she is, yes, the applause in the room is exciting. Go, Carrie, go. Almost 300 watts at the finish after a 3-stage race win. No kidding. And there is no need to wait for the official. It is clear.
It is clear.
Now here we come. Oh my gosh. Angela digging in. Look at that face. Oh my God. She's like, no, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm going to take it. Fleur is there. Newsom is there. Who's going to take
big
it?
Push.
Big push. Okay.
Angela Mann with an incredible recovery on this. We see those 5 riders come through at the finish. We'll have those results for you in just a second. We're waiting just another minute for another rider, Jenny Johansson, to come in. She's still leading more than just about a minute over Christina Torres and Christina Willis as well. We should point out right now, we're getting lots of cheers. One for Dixie Newsom from Shalane O'Keefe. Chris Rivera cheering for Irina Osula coming up here in the women's race. I've got one in there. I'm cheering some folks on also, Irina Osula. The money continues to go up. Alberta O'Neill, also Taya Freestead is the cheer. You can cheer as well, too, if you're on the CycleView site and app. Very cool.
All right, so we've got official, just in from our official.
Yes.
We've got Conabear, we've got Kessels, and we've got Newsom.
Yes.
So that's our one, two, three.
Now, Newsom did a great job, Dixie, moving around. She was not in that high a position the last time. Kessels, despite the mountain climber jersey, showed that she's also deserving of that green jersey for the sprint. She did a great job in that one as well.
She's got a lot of fight in her. And then, and then of course, like the Melanie and Angela.
Back and forth.
And the fight on them, seeing the grit and the teeth clenching. So exciting.
And they did some work together. I question whether they gave everything they had to that storyline, that chase, but it does not matter because Carrie Conabear finds herself at the top of all 3 podiums in this 3-stage CVR.
With authority.
No kidding. And
well, she was our London, third place winner in London.
Yes, she was. She has continued to grow, and I think people are asking themselves, what would it be like if she had been in this in the elite race?
Right.
Which is certainly, she definitely has that ability. There's not a huge separation between these riders, despite the points, despite the seconds. These are all incredibly strong athletes, but Carrie showed she was number 1. The great thing is Hunter Allen, who knows this inside and out, is standing next to our gal.
I can't wait to hear what she has
to
say.
No kidding. What do you got?
All right, we are here with our winner, 3 wins. Congratulations. Tell us about it.
It was tough. It wasn't easy. Tactics, definitely. Just staying in the group and pushing it towards the end. And the crit at the end, I mean, they just didn't want to chase me down. So.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of slowly got away. And at what point, I mean, how many seconds ahead did you decide, I better put my head down and just try and grow this gap?
12 seconds. I did think they were going to catch me up, but I just pushed on.
And so, I mean, you just said, okay, I'm going for it. I'm just going to see if I can stay away. What a brilliant move.
I think Floor was going to chase me down, but the other girls weren't willing to go with her, so.
They had to work together, and they just didn't. I mean, they just didn't work together. It was a perfect, just get away. I'm just going to roll away. I mean.
If they had worked together, then that would have been a different thing, I think. It would have been a bunch.
3 wins in a row. How are you feeling?
Good. Yeah. Although my legs were getting a bit tired towards the end, so I'm glad it's over now.
Well, you should be really excited to have 3 wins. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Cheers. Thank you.
That's it. What a great race here.
Wow.
3 wins. Congratulations, Carrie. Good job.
Yeah, that was wonderful to watch, and there were so many storylines in that.
No kidding. No kidding. Now some of these riders cooling down, some of them walking over to congratulate each other. They're fierce competitors on the course. They are actually great allies and friends in the cycling community when they're off the bike, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
It is, and it's one of those things too. We talk about experience on the road, and we talk about experience in the game, and we talk about experience like cycling, and we talk about age, and we talk about like this blender of things, right?
Yeah.
So you have like Angela, who's like a lot of road crit racer, and you have Carrie, who I think is relatively new to cycling, but like she's racing all the time.
There's
in
that
game.
theme again. Late to cycling,
late to cycling,
success.
and great success. But what all of these competitors have in common is that they are competitors.
With a capital C.
With a capital C, as I say, capital K, capital competitor. And it's really fun to watch because the playing field gets leveled here.
Boy, it does.
Because these riders wouldn't match up maybe in a normal race. You've got the proximity, right? The world from all over the world.
Yep.
All different ages. They might not be in the same categories on the road. So this really puts them head to head.
Right.
It's really fascinating to watch.
It is, and you have someone who Carrie would likely not have raced against Fleur or Dixie. Because she's a master's age rider. She's 42. We don't have to shy away from that. That's a great age. And she's proven that the age is not the determination.
No.
She beat a 26-year-old and a 28-year-old rider. But this is not a kind of matchup that would happen in the real world very often. Right. It just is not going to happen. And she shows.
And we've got Jessica York cooling down with a smile on her face.
Yeah, and another thing, I've known a number of professional cyclists. A good friend of mine, Jennifer, is a a recently kind of semi-retired pro cyclist, Jen Halliday, many of you know from the cycling world, multiple time U.S. National time trial champion, phenomenal cyclist, raced professionally. Well, she got in a few too many crashes, and she found it too hard to get up on a Monday and to just do her family life. And this type of world allows these racers, the crits are the Angela Mann, the young person's game, right? It's harder to stay in the super fast young crits as you reach into those masters ranks. So we don't see these matchups, to your point, that we would normally see. But the virtual cycling brings that together, and CVR World Cup brings the best of these virtual cyclists together.
That's right. We have to remember too that even some of those masters too were like your friend. That they have all those legs, they have all and they're not done.
They're not done at all.
And
Carrie showed today that not only is she not done, but she will not accept if you even hint that she is done. Now, she'll have to report, as mentioned, to the principal's office for all of the instigating and the fight starting and the puppy kicking that she accomplished today. But I think she'll gladly take her detention, her 3 wins, and her top part of this prize pool and be pretty satisfied with her trip to Paris.
That's right. That's right. So this is the first heat of 2 for the women today. We've got that coming up. Next, we've got we're going to maybe show some of the
men's race, the men's qualifier
from yesterday.
Yep.
And when we get to that, we'll talk a little bit more about the next live race that we've got coming. But basically, 2 heats for each, the men and the women yesterday, which were the preliminaries, which are determining these heats today. And this was the performance race for the women. We've got the elite race for the men coming up. But before we get to that.
Yep. We've got this race that we're going to do. Now, we've also got a couple things we want to give away here, and we've been giving those away. We were going to do our parlor trick here in just a moment.
When we get that, that's on screen.
On screen. We actually have a magical prize box where we can give you the actual prize. Sorry, we've been at this desk for a little while. We might be just a little bit rummy, so if you're like, have these 2 lost it? We may have never had it, first of all, but maybe we're just kind of getting up there. This has been really cool to meet all these riders, certainly.
Yes.
But you'll notice, and it's all over social media, just about the production value of this event. And as we wait for that prize, it's really important to point out that we are surrounded by some of the most amazing professionals in broadcasting that we could ever hope to see. Huge group running cameras and production and sound and in our ear, reminding me all the time, Chris, you're really good at this, right? Which is the confidence that I need to just keep talking.
That's the whole point of the earpiece. Is
we
just
have
like,
one
good
person
job.
dedicated to just telling me how good I'm doing, right? To keep my confidence floated.
Yeah, and so if we have a prize, I don't know
we have some
prize.
prizes
Want
here.
to give away some prizes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So this was made available on the Cyclogent site as well, but social media, we've got 3 winners. We've got a keyboard tray, we've got a Team X kit, and we've got Peaks Coaches Training. And by the way, that's Coach, and those folks are. And I would give you a drum roll, please, but we're not that high in production. As you can see,
I'm a little slow on
props are limited here. Props are limited.
So is skill.
But yes, they are. But Marek Dvorak, we've got Martin Senek, and we've got Wade Marriott winning those fabulous prizes. They'll all be notified. We've got
there's the prize. Okay.
That's right.
So wait, with this?
There we go. The keyboard tray winner. Oh, but you're actually supposed to bring something
that resembles it.
We'll
it was the invisible.
This.
It's the invisible.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We'll rehearse this before the next live event here. You can tell we don't take ourselves too seriously. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we'll continue to send those out. Thank you very much for you being willing to stay, and we hope we gave you a great story. If you feel like you're hooked a little bit here, and you're interested in finding out what's going to happen, we've got these other races coming up today, as mentioned, and we are not going to disappoint. We're going to jump to the preliminary race, which leads into this one. It's a great thing to have on. You may be hooked. It's a shorter race. It's definitely one that will pique your interest, give you the storylines that you're going to want to know before the next race. But we should point out that you can jump in and cheer for these riders, contribute to the prize pool, just like any good esport, at cycleview.cyclogentrankings.com. Rolls off the tongue. I've got a lower back tattoo which matches it. I'll show you that on the next one.
Take his word for it. You don't.
Yeah, that's right. Just take my word for it. But you can contribute and cheer for your favorite rider. They see it on screen. They know that you love them, and it is a beautiful thing to behold. Okay, so
Without further ado, let's take a look at that race from yesterday.
and we'll see you soon.